It's the start of a brand new week right here on Joy News, your home of independent, fearless, incredible journalism. Of course, you're welcome to the AM show. My name is Sweetie Abochi. I nearly said Benjamin Akakpo because that's what we do. But I do this with Benjamin Akakpo, and in a bit, I'll be serving you the news. We've come a long way in this month of March, I must say, from Independence Day celebrations, International Women's Day, and today being a start of a brand new week. I can't wait to see what happens, what topical issues trend and make headlines this week. But for the news review today, Executive Director for Alliance for Social Equity and Public Accountability, Mensa Thompson, will be our guest for the news review. Right after that, we get into AM Sports, where Muftana Bila Abdullah will present a segment bringing you all the latest updates in the world of sports. But in the big stories, today we'll host the Convention's People's Party. The party is getting ready for the December polls. So what are their plans? Of course, we are your election headquarters, so we want to bring you up to speed on what they're doing. We'll be hosting the chairperson of the CPP, Nana Frimpobam. Also coming up, the opposition National Democratic Congress has settled on John and Jane again. Former President John Dramani Mahama last week chose Professor Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman as his running mate for the second time. The governing New Patriotic Party flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, is yet to choose his running mate. So, who is it likely to be? Join us as we discuss this later on in the show. Our guest, Dr. Kobi Mensah, political marketer at UGBS, Dr. John Osei Kwapong, who's a CDD fellow, Professor Ransford Jampo, who's a political scientist at the University of Ghana, Legon, and Haruna Mohammed, Deputy General Secretary of the NPP, and Mustafa Gbande, Deputy General Secretary of the NDC. All that later on in the show. Now, Joy News, in partnership with Youth Bridge Foundation, will be holding a national dialogue on cybersecurity tomorrow, Tuesday, 12th of March 2024 at 9 a.m. Now, the dialogue is on the theme enforcing cybersecurity protocols, protecting the citizens' vulnerabilities. We have special focus on cybersecurity threats in the health facilities, educational institutions, and financial sector. The dialogue will attract the experts in cybersecurity, as well as managers of Ghana's health, education, fintech organizations, and others to discuss the way forward in terms of cybersecurity. So stay with us, all this later on in the show. My name is Sweetie Abochi. In a bit, I'll be serving you the news. Please stay with us. The Vice-Chancellor of the Sunyani Technical University, Professor Ignatius Kojo-Edinkra-Appiah, has said the management of the university has taken stringent measures towards further protection of students against sexual harassment. Speaking at the 27th matriculation ceremony, the VC said the university does not take lightly issues of sexual misconduct. Hence, any confirmed culprits of the recent social media will face the full rigors of the law. Precious Semevo has more in this report.
Recently, video publications on social media alleged a sex for grades scandal against some unnamed lecturers of the Sunyani Technical University. Speaking at the 28th matriculation ceremony in Sunyani, the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Engineer Kojo-Edinkra-Appiah, said management has set up a 7-member committee to investigate the allegations and urged stakeholders to make available evidence to facilitate the committee's work for necessary actions. He noted that the university does not take lightly issues of sexual misconduct, especially sexual harassment against students, and will ensure confirmed culprits face the full rigors of the law, even as further measures are taken to ensure their protection.
To protect all against social and sexual harassment, the management of the university has registered a new mobile phone number, which is a hotline, on which victims can call to report all forms of sexual molestations against them. This number will be posted on the various student platforms. Our cherished faculty and staff are also reminded to observe the highest level of ethical judgments in carrying out via academic, professional, and administrative duties in the university, to avoid the temptation of falling into sexual misconduct scandals, which may lead to severe sanctions, including termination of one's appointment and even prosecutions.
2,833 out of the 3,362 students admitted for the academic year enrolled on science, technology, engineering, and TVET programs, a move the VC said will equip the youth to be employable.
All is set for the university to start apprenticeship programs under the phase 4 of the Ghana TVET Voucher Project, GTVP, under the auspices of KFW. We urge all prospective students to take advantage to enroll on these innovative and industry-driven programs at the Sunyani Technical University to acquire the requisite knowledge that will make them readily employable, to avoid the temptation of joining the so-called unemployed Graduates Association in Ghana, after going through some other programs which are more susceptible to joblessness.
Precious Semevo, Joy News, Sunyani.
Ghana's healthcare system is fraught with many challenges. Lack of critical and sophisticated equipment have left some patients with no option than to seek medical care outside the country. And this has often come with unbearable costs. Public and private health facilities lack expansion and capacity to deliver quality healthcare in spite of the increasing population. Now, General Manager of Hope Exchange Medical Center, Dominic Osei-Kofi, expresses worry about the lack of sophisticated medical equipment in our health sector to deal with certain conditions. There's more in this report.
Healthcare services in Ghana are still not in the best rankings as many health facilities become unaffordable, render poor quality services, and lack medical gear. This common trend only favors a selected few privileged Ghanaians who are able to travel abroad to seek refined healthcare. The 135-bed capacity Hope Exchange Medical Center recorded over 53,000 patients last year, despite the huge numbers catered for by the institution. General Manager Dominic Osei-Kofi is emphasizing the need for expansion of services, more staff, and increased equipment.
But the hospital is expanding. We need staff residents. We need to bring more clinics, that is, add more services to what we are doing. And as patients keep coming, you also need more equipment. So I just want to appeal to the people of Ghana, those who have, let them also see what they can give in terms of healthcare to the people of Ghana.
Dominic Osei made these comments during a visit by the President of Malta, George Villa, to the facility established by a Maltese non-governmental organization. The visit comes as the Maltese government seeks to improve its health cooperation between Ghana. Dominic Osei wants support from both local institutions and individuals to contribute more to improving the health sector.
I just want to encourage the people of Ghana, especially those who have, to also see how best they can promote the health sector. This whole project is the initiative of a Maltese. He doesn't live in Ghana. So if somebody who is not a Ghanaian has been so generous taking such initiative and having such a facility for the people of Ghana, then I think that in Ghana, what are we also doing?
The Malta president inspected the facility, wards, including the recently inaugurated e-learning laboratory at the facility. He assures of the committed efforts of the Maltese to contribute to improving healthcare in Ghana.
And this is what many people who do not have access to medical care look for. The basics, like emergencies, blood examinations, infections, gynecology, and things like that. So thank you very much for coming up with this idea. Obviously, on behalf of the Maltese people, I also thank the Maltese people for all having been so generous over all these years, and I think and I wish that they should carry on helping this very important initiative. If they knew more about it, I can assure you that we'll be having more and more funding. Because even I, coming here for the first time, I'm impressed that this is something which is really giving a huge social service to the people in the vicinity.
The Maltese president is on a 3-day visit to Ghana. Reporting for Joy News, Clinton Yeboah.
In other stories, time is running out for 2-year-old Sedinam K. Jila, who requires a multiple life-saving corrective surgery. The boy, born with a complex medical condition, currently cannot walk or crawl due to advancing scoliosis. His doctors say he urgently needs 120,000 Ghana cedis to survive. His parents, who are pupil teachers, cannot raise the much-needed funds and are appealing to the public for assistance. Carlos Kaloni has the rest of the story.
Two-year-old Sedina K was born with multiple medical conditions, including scoliosis, which makes it difficult for him to crawl or walk. To move from one point to the other, he has to drag himself on the floor with his buttocks. His parents, Miriam Asayebia and Frank Jila, tell Joy News how his condition is affecting them financially and emotionally.
When I gave birth to him, it's post-date, so he was coming with the bottles. So I gave birth to him with the bottles coming like that.
From birth till 2 years now, it's from hospital to hospital, from lab test to lab test.
I am a private teacher in a private school. Then, because of case condition, I have to be at home, and even going to work, nobody wants to employ me.
Dr. Kojo Pokuyanki, a neurosurgeon attending to Sedinam at the Focus Hospital in Accra, said the 2-year-old boy urgently needs about 120,000 Ghana cedis for a multiple complex long-term corrective surgery.
He has a syndrome, so he has multiple anomalies. So he has a spine deformity, he has lower anomalies, including contractures and then a club foot. And then he also got hip problems for the dysplasia of the hip. Sedinam's condition requires that we do like multiple surgeries. For his age, what he requires, we call that growing rods. So growing rods allow us to correct the deformity currently, prevent the deformity from progressing, and also allow the child to increase or grow while he still has the instrumentation in place. So what we do is we hold the upper part of the deformity, we put some screws in the upper part, we put some screws in the lower part, and then in between we have rods which can lengthen. So once we put in these growing rods, every 3 months he requires lengthening so that he can increase in height. We'll have to do this probably for a period of 4 years. By the end of 4 years, the rod would have exhausted the length of the rod, and then we'll have to change the rods. For the initial surgery, the cost will be in the range of 100 to 120,000 Ghana cedis.
Dr. Yankee said any more delays could be detrimental to Sedinam's health.
If we don't do that, really give him another 1 year, his spine is going to really get very bad. The deformity will totally worsen. His curve will be badly bent. It will be curved so badly that aesthetically it won't be appealing. And apart from that, it's also going to put pressure on the lungs. It's going to affect his breathing, can affect his pressure on the spinal cord and his nerves, which will affect his ability to control urine, toilets.
We did so many tests. In fact, the test is too much. The money involved was too much, so we couldn't pay our rent. So we have to move into my dad's place.
Time is running out for young K. Sedinam. His parents and doctors are appealing to the general public for help.
I want to appeal to the society and to everybody watching that we make whatever small contribution we can to make his surgery a success. We never know what he's going to become in future. He become our next president or a neurosurgeon or someone who is going to really make a big impact in the world.
I'm a private school teacher and the pay is not enough. So right now, even transportation to the hospital alone is not easy.
With the general public, our MPs, our ministers, the MP for Shama, to come to my son's end so that he'll be able to work. We are in enough financial support.
You may want to donate to these accounts on the screen to save young K's life. Carlos Caloni, Joy News.
It's not my intention to give birth to you like this.
Please support if you can. Moving on, the St. Ignatius of Loyalo, otherwise known as Lasia Tuolu Senior High School in the Upper East region, has temporarily been closed down after a few gutted the school multipurpose dining hall complex. The incident, which occurred during the wee hours of Saturday, burnt into the ashes several properties of the school, 900 new desks, 500 pieces of dining tables and sets of benches, and several dozens of assorted food items valued at thousands of Ghana cedis. Now, Joy News Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafik Salam reports from Lasia Tuolu.
The blistering river fire, according to an eyewitness, started around 3 a.m. and parts of the 1,500-seater multipurpose into ashes and also weakened the concrete walls and gables.
The head prefect ran and banged at my door. I woke up, I asked the head prefect that our dining hall was in flames. I ran out, and from my residence I could see the entire place in flames. So that was when I immediately rushed for my phone and started calling fire service. I called their main line, national line. It was barely nothing was happening. So I quickly recorded a piece of SOS message and posted on various platforms, hoping that somebody will stumble upon it and then call them.
Personnel of the Ghana National Fire Service from Muchao were called into action. They made it to the St. Ignatius of Loyola, or better known as Lasia Tuolu Senior High School, but were unable to salvage the situation. Deputy Upper West Regional Commander of the Ghana National Fire Service, DO2, Adam Sisaku, explained to a worried Upper West Regional Minister, Dr. Hafiz Bin Sali, who came to assess the extent of damage caused by the fire.
And normally, in any situation when we are dealing with disaster fire product, there's a movement, incipient state, how the fire starts. Then it goes to group state. Then from the group state, it moves to full group state. And then full group state, that is why the state where everything is supposed to be burning is burning. So before the arrival of the Wuchao to the fire scene, it was in the full group state. Building was supposed to be burned, has got its
Do they have a tender?
Wuchao have a tender.
Okay.
And the tender is functioning up to the Asian Commission. So when they come and meet the situation, they call for a backup from WA. Okay. And you know the journey.
Yeah. It's a serious situation. Beyond what I anticipated when I left WA. And nothing can be done about this structure. With my leave, the only thing we can do to it is to pull it down. That is my observation. And having gone around during the week, the regional gate fund consultants will come and then have a look at the facility, and then we take it up from there.
Headmaster of the school, Emmanuel Banonwie, disclosed that they have lost several items valued at several thousands of Ghana cedis.
Items destroyed at the store. Maize, 24 bags. Crab, 15 cartons. Vegetable oil, 24 cans. Palm oil, a gallon. Concomte, 2 bags. Dry okra, 1 bag. Salt, 1 bag. Margarine, 1 bucket. Student desks, 900 pieces. Then dining tables and set of benches, 500. Then public address system, a whole set. We have musical instruments, piano, organ, set of drums, and all those musical gadgets that we need to detain students.
The students are already feeling the pinch of the excruciating pain caused by the inferno. They are yet to know its cause. Head prefect of the school held a Nanang painted a mental picture of what they are going to lose in the absence of the multi-purpose dining hall.
This dining hall main engine of the school cause everything happens there. In fact, the destruction of this hall is like the burn down of the Parliament House in Ghana right now, because that's where everything happens. Dining is even a multi-purpose hall. Right now, that's where we write exams. The Form 1s will continue their exams tomorrow, and here is the case that they cannot continue their exams. We're also supposed to be in school up to the 28th, and that time we have learned something. But here is the case that we are going home. Most of us won't get a time to learn.
The school for now has temporarily been closed down to enable them undertake investigation to ascertain the cause of the fire and also put in place measures for the return of the students.
Go home, rest, and after some time we will call you. With regard to the structure, I want to assure you that the government of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo will put the structure in place in a record time. That I can assure you.
Reporting for Joy News, Rafik Salam, Lasie Tuolu.
Now, from our election headquarters, flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, John Dramani Mahama, has described the NPP's government's flagship program, One Village, One Dam project, as a failure. To him, the project, which aimed to ensure constant supply of water, has been poorly conceptualized. Mr. Mahama was on a tour of the Upper West region and repeated a promise of finding lasting solutions to the problem. Here's a report from Nana Yaojima.
The Building Ghana tour of the NDC has visited 4 of the 5 regions of the north. So far, challenges with access to potable water, especially in the dry season, have been repeated in all regions. At a town hall meeting in Tumu, Chief of Walembele Traditional Area, Kuru Prof. Badua Wali II, reiterated the challenge.
1D, 1F, whatever slogans, unfortunately, our dams are drying up. I have traversed the area so many times in the past week or so, and I've realized the challenges our people are facing with regard to dry season agriculture and also water for the animals. The dams are drying up. We're hoping that this aspect also will be taken up by the NDC Manifesto Committee to ensure that we have an improved water system for the dry season come 2025 and beyond.
The One Village, One Dam was a major campaign promise of the New Patriotic Party in 2016. After taking over power, dams were dug in some of the villages in the north, but it is yet to improve situations in target areas. The NDC flag bearer, John Dramani Mahama, explains why.
As you know, the 1V, 1D has been a complete failure because it was not well conceptualized. They can't hold water. By halfway in the dry season, they go dry. When the cattle drink from it for about 1 month, 2 months, the water gets finished. We build dams that last till the next rainy season. And so those are the kinds of dams that we need here in the northern parts of the country. We know that the rainy season is short, and after the rainy season, the Harmattan comes, and we need water that will last till the next rainy season. And so when we talk about building dams, we're talking about building real dams that would have enough water to sustain both agriculture and livestock.
roads in Sisala East constituency remain in poor state.
And I know that the road network has been poor. When we were in office, we started several roads in this area. Unfortunately, after we left office, all came to a standstill. But I can assure you that we know that one of the priorities in the Sisala East District is the road network. And so I can promise you that when we come, we will do our best to make sure that we fix the roads so that you can move the farm produce all over.
The NDC flag bearer held separate town hall meetings at Lambusie and Nandom. For Joy News, Nanaya Ojima, Upper West Region.
That's it from our election headquarters. Now, the European Union says it is focused on supporting large investments that will bring about economic development in order to create more jobs in Ghana and the entire West African sub-region. At a tripartite consultation on the Neighborhood Development and International Cooperation Instrument, West African states welcomes development assistance that will promote growth in the sub-region. There's more in the following report.
The tripartite meeting on the implementation of the Neighborhood Development and International Cooperation Instrument assembled development agencies and experts from member states of the regional economic communities in West Africa. External Relations Director of ECOWAS, Jerome Bois, described the engagement as crucial for development financing in the SAP region.
This meeting is more than important. The whole process of the new financing instrument of the European Union. You know, the region, we see the region as a whole, even though we have two regional organizations, that's the YMO and ECOWAS. And for this new instrument, you know, West Africa has 40% of the budget. The resources that will be allocated as being allocated to West Africa account for 40%. That is about 11.6 billion euro. It's a huge amount of money. And we have to make sure, yes, under this new instrument, okay? So we have to make sure that at least maybe 90% of money come to West Africa. And if it come to West Africa, of course, it hit all our member states. So this is the essence of this meeting.
For the European Union, its long-term strategy under the latest instrument is primarily focused on supporting large investments that will promote development and to create more jobs for the youthful population. Massimo Mina is head of cooperation for the EU mission in Ghana.
And this is very important for the neighbors. It's also important in Ghana, where we have a very strong focus on supporting large investment, which can make structural changes, which can be impactful, in particular to support the key problem that we have, not only in Ghana, but more generally in the region, which is the job creation. So through these instruments, we can find the necessary resources to support the job creation, and also the green transition. So we want to focus on green jobs, in particular for women, for young people, and ensure that that can really be transformative in the countries where we work.
Nous avons mis en place un mécanisme de coordination tripartite entre l'UEMOA.
We have set up a coordination mechanism to ensure coherence. This meeting will examine the different actions that we are already implementing. Help us plan for the region in the coming years.
Nous allons avoir à examiner les différentes actions que nous sommes en train déjà de mettre en œuvre et également que nous prévoyons déployer au cours des prochaines années dans la région au bénéfice des populations.
After 3 successful engagements in Accra, stakeholders are hopeful of consolidating the framework for cooperation on the implementation of the Neighborhood Development and International Cooperation Instrument. Listeners report for Joy News, Accra.
That's it for the news. Up next is the news review. Please stay with us.
Welcome back on the AM show, and Sweetie Abochi Anope Onoano Atisho Nano Ntiebe Twaswe Free Ha. You know, it's Ghana month and we're free to speak our local languages evermore. No, it's not as though we couldn't before, but especially in this month. Yeah, but I potokasana. Yeah, ketchi. Emodin, ECP, Esita. What I say? Aha, Midin Ede Benjamin Akakbo. Medasi Bivre said. Munina Moshame just Anyway, like we always do, I'll let you know of that entity helping us bring you the news review every weekday morning on the AM show. It's called Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, and they'll be the end to your chronic disease. Here's why. For those of you who have prostate issues, or maybe you've never checked out anything to do with your prostate, so you don't know what's going on, they are offering you, if you're a man, check your prostate. Come and check your prostate for free. If you're a woman, come and check out your fertility. Nowadays, apart from fibroids, which supposedly every woman has, it may just not develop to the point where you require a medical solution or something of the sort. Many people are coming up with so many of these fertility issues. Why wait till something strikes you down? Why don't you get yourself checked? So if you're a woman, they're offering you fertility screening as well for free, gratis. So for both sexes, just reach out to Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic at any of their branches. In Accra, they're at Spintex, opposite the Shell signboard. In Kumasi, Kronum Abwehia, behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takra DNRG State, Tema, Community 22, Techiman Hanswa, and Esiamanzama. Their call lines are 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. I have the pleasure now of introducing to you, he is Executive Director for the Alliance for Social Equity and Public Accountability, ASEPA, and Mensa Thompson is his name. He joins me for a conversation during the news review. Mensa, thanks for coming.
Benny, thanks for having me.
Should I tell them?
That.
Should I tell them?
No, it's fine.
Mommy can't show.
No.
But you've been bashing people, so let me tell them what happened. It's good to see you. It's been forever.
Yes. I haven't seen you in a while.
Anyway.
Yes, but I've been monitoring the show, I think. You and Kitty.
Okay.
You're handling the show very well. Thank you.
Life is good, and I see you're looking good in your smock and...
Yes, it's Ghana month, so...
Yeah, but I'm saying life is good, and I was it, and I don't. I know, I'm being mischievous this morning. I'm in a mischievous mood. That's what happens when I'm tired in the morning. Anyway, so we have a stack of newspapers here, but I have a bit of a ritual that I pursue. When people come, especially in studio, I give them a minute or two to talk about something pertinent that is burning on their heart. So over to you. If there's any such issue. For me, for example, the All Africa Games and the fact that Doomso, even there too, Doomso and Charlie, the lights were off. Some categories, disciplines couldn't for a while. Can you imagine that? All Africa Games, yeah, Tongana. Fue, light off. I couldn't for the life of me. Oh, Kokase Doomso says, yeah, one to book it. Hey, but what is that? Anyway, so that's one thing on my mind. I don't know about you, but...
Yeah, I think the All-African Game...
Briefly on that.
...has revealed some very structural weaknesses in our system. It's not just Doomso that is really embarrassing us. Yesterday, I saw a race trailing behind time because of ambulance. The cycling, those who were doing the cycling, and they had to wait for an ambulance because the race couldn't start if there's no ambulance at the venue, and they had to spend a lot of time, and I saw the pictures and they were quite embarrassing, but I think these are things that we should take a bit more seriously, especially in these times where we have a lot of foreigners in the country. We have people coming from all walks of life, athletes. I think we can do better, and I hope that the few days left for the games, the government, together with the local organizing committee, would step up their game and make sure that resources are available. I think some of the things that are happening are inexcusable, like footwear, like just basic equipment that are needed for this, which you think that a country hosting such an event will prepare for it.
And this is a country that is saying it has spent over $190 million.
Exactly.
I mean, we spent $16 million to put up the entire Cape Coast Stadium in 2016. $16 million. They say to renovate and whatever, the
games
Legon, no, University of Ghana Stadium and everything. It cost $34 million.
Yes, and even
more than twice what we spent. And we are not talking cedis, so that you say it is appreciation or depreciation of this currency versus that. We're still talking dollars.
And even the Games Village, how much they said is spent on the Games Village, about $60 million on the Games Village, where you did not put up a new structure. The buildings are already there. All you had to do is to just refurbish the building, provide some materials, and we're being quoted huge sums of money. And I think some of these spectacles are avoidable, especially in these critical times where, our economy is in a downward spiral. There are a lot of issues affecting the ordinary Ghanaian. And these things just, angers people. It makes people feel that, people just lose faith in our democracy, and I think it's not good for us.
But let's look at the other side. When you say this, I mean, you have been highly critical of this administration. Let's look at the other side. The former administration also had its problems with Dumso. My peeve is that we shouldn't continue suffering from a lack of thinking. If someone sacrificed, and we ousted Mahama partly because of Dumso, right? So if we had suffered, yes, a problem he didn't necessarily create, from Rawlings to subsidizing electricity to cutting off subsidies to Kufuor, we faced a bit under Rawlings. Kufuor, it became a little bit more observable. Then Atamil's Mahama, chaos. Yeah. We dealt with the situation, right? We signed the agreements, whatever it may be. We signed the agreements, we had the power deals, and this administration came and said excess power all through, even at a point when from around 2021, 2022, we did not have any excess power, but they kept on with the rhetoric. And now here we are again. Yeah. In fact, I listened to, I've forgotten the MP's name. He's from the Northern Belt. He said that whichever administration comes, because of where we are now, that administration will suffer a power crisis because we failed to think.
Yes, but by 2025, and these things have been predicted by all of us, because one, you remember the cause of the power crisis in 2015. It has not changed. There were two key issues. We had capacity issue, and then we had financial issues.
Yeah.
So the installed capacity, how much capacity we are able to have, and then financial, how much money we are able to pay for the gas that we receive to power these plants, to give us electricity. So what the previous administration did was to ensure that we have adequate capacity. So the current challenges we are having now is not lack of capacity, especially when government itself has told us that we have more capacity than we need.
Well, we don't have excess capacity.
We don't have extra
but we
capacity,
have enough to take care of our
capacity.
Right.
We have adequate capacity.
Right.
So now what is the problem is that the previous administration, in trying to resolve the Dumso, created, got financial institutions, banks to finance these power plants and to pay these companies and also to sort out the legacy debts in the energy sector. They introduced a tax called ESLA. What ESLA was supposed to do was to...
I don't want us to get too technical.
No, I don't want to get... No,
I want us to get into...
Yes, I just want to just give a background because it's the foundation of the power crisis that we are.
It's a horse we've flogged many times on the show. That's why I don't want us to
go... Yes, that ESLA, you collateralize ESLA, and so now the process of ESLA are now going into a service of debt and also the finance of your own consumption instead of paying the power producers, the IPPs, and all these people. Yeah. So definitely you are going to come back.
And ECG has been in a box in itself, trying to raise money and all that. But for me, I just think it's a big disgrace, especially what happened. You have All Africa Games. Just say, Ghana. Ghana na Dumso. I mean, what impression are you creating in the minds of people? Could we not find a way of ensuring that even in the catchment areas, we would project so that there would be no power outages, so people would not go thinking of Ghana as that country where the lights go off,
and that's why we've been
I don't know. I don't know what thinking goes into.
And that's why we're asking for a load shedding timetable, because if the ECG is being honest and not trying to cover up that we are in doom. Because you are shedding power. You are shedding up to.
Well, that one, a lot of people have called for it. We'll see how it goes as and when they feel.
You are shedding up to 500 megawatts of power during peak hours. So just provide a timetable. The timetable will allow you to now do the exclusion. It's okay. This game is taking.
But you don't get the point, do you? Or maybe you get it, but you're not looking at. If you come up with a timetable, it means there's doom. So. People are trying to avoid a certain technicality.
But you cannot. It will expose you. I mean,
but have you spoken to any member of this administration? Have you seen any of them admit that there's doom? So
we don't need them to admit. Where I live, my power goes off sometimes for 4-5 hours. Sometimes
yours is good. Where my mother lives, it can go off for almost 12, 15
hours. So the reality is that we're in
on.
doom. So, and we don't need any official to come and tell us that we are in doom. So
let's get into the papers now. I have the Daily Graphic, the New Finder, the Daily Guide, and the Custodian newspaper. So the Daily Graphic newspaper: electoral system needs reforms. Samyan Kroba will go very quickly. 22% Ghanaian adults physically inactive. This one, me no like hear this. I don't like hearing something like this, but it also points to the situation. A lot of our population is getting obese. People are not physically active. People are doing sedentary jobs. You are sitting throughout, no walking and the rest. At home, sit, no exercise. Recipe for disaster. We'll get into that. Government builds new drains against rainy season. Here we are again, when the rainy season is coming, and then before you see, it rained somewhere last week or over the weekend for a few, before you realize we're talking of flooding, I was shocked. 13th African Games open in Accra. Oh, but let me say this. The 13th African Games opener, I didn't watch it, but some people who did said it was pretty good. So if at least that went well, we salute them. That is the opening ceremony. MTN puts up 19 million Ghana cedi maternity and NICU blocks in Keta. That's neonatal ICU blocks. So let me start from the start. A former chairperson of the Convention People's Party, Samia Yaba Nkrumah, says it is time to reform the nation's electoral system to allow marginalized groups such as women and the smaller parties to have more political voice. That, she said, could be done through the adoption of the quota system or the proportional representation system. If you know of politics, you know about these systems. It's not always first past the post. Now, the times have come, she says, for us to consider these two different electoral systems, which were not possible in 1992 when we returned to the constitutional rule. Ms. Nkrumah, a former CPP member of parliament for Jomore in the Western region, was responding to a question in an interview on Graphic TV show, a channel on YouTube dubbed Your Ghana, My Ghana. And so that's the thrust of it there. She says we should have more representation of smaller parties. To some extent, I agree with her, because this dominance of NDC, MPP holding us by the neck, I don't know whether it's helping, because it's just one circus to another circus. But that's the story there. Then there's page 13. I'll do those two stories and come to you for your responses. A World Health Organization assessment of physical activity in the country has shown that 22% of adults aged 18 and above are not physically active. That is more than 1 in 5. More than 1 in every 5 you count. It also indicated that 81% of adolescents are also physically inactive. So based on the fact that physical inactivity was one of the main risk factors for non-communicable diseases, including cancer, cardiovascular disease, chronic respiratory diseases, and diabetes, the WHO has called on the country to modify its road infrastructure to include walking and cycling infrastructure, like you would find in Rwanda. In Kigali, there are clear lanes where bicycles can be, where pedestrians can have that. In Ghana, the road Nankasana Sef, they form to talk of create any. And that is that. So the impact of the recommendation, physical activity among the general population, is to help reduce the alarming rate of NCDs, non-communicable diseases, prevalence, morbidity, and mortality in the country. And I am not surprised by this, because this is also why, respectfully, when COVID-19 hit, we saw a lot of these comorbidity issues and people succumbing to the disease because of a lack of physical exercise, physical activity. And the final one, government builds new drains against rainy season. Housing Minister discloses the government is working on some flood adaptation projects in flood-prone areas in Accra to mitigate the impact of this year's rainfall. The projects include the construction of storm drains at Agbugloshi, Akwetiman, a section of Nima, Kaswa Iron City, and Weja Old Barrier. we did this country inside. I'm waiting when the rains hit. Fili, we'll see. Yagani. Over to you. Quick reactions, and then we'll get into your papers. Yes. Any quick reactions? So electoral system needs reforms. Yes. 22% of Ghanaians physically inactive. Building new drains against the rainy season.
Well, let me comment on the electoral reforms. Yes, indeed. I think our country is ripe for electoral reforms. We've been practicing this 1992 constitutional democracy for some time, and so it's time for some specific amendments, to shape, our electoral process. But I would tend to disagree with any introduction of a quota system. We've been grappling with affirmative action bill for some time, and we feel that the affirmative action bill will handle some of these things for us. If any reform must be done, it must be focused on inclusivity and in electoral coverage to ensure that we achieve the principle of universal adult suffrage, which I think over time, every time there's elections, there's this whole quagmire of who is eligible, who is ineligible, who has to be registered, who is a Ghanaian, who is not a non-Ghanaian. I think that we can put all these issues to bed. The issue about chaotic voter registration exercises could also be put to bed if the EC adopts a more continuous approach to voter registration, where any citizen that reaches the age of 18 can just walk to any electoral commission office and register for their voter's ID without necessarily having to wait for a special voter registration exercise that normally tends to be more chaotic. Again, if the policy introduction that must guide some of these reforms should be our national identification system. We've been playing games with this whole Ghana card, passport, and it's been chaotic. I want to take inspiration from what Nigeria is doing. Nigeria have introduced something called the National Identification Number, which is more like the Social Security number of the United States of America. So every citizen, right from birth, you are issued an NIN, a National Identification Number. It is this number that will be used for anything. All documentations or anything you have to register in this country, you have to use your NIN. Now, if that system works perfectly, what you will do is that you succeed in eliminating, foreigners and non-citizens and people who are ineligible. And so once somebody goes to the voting center or so a registration center, the person didn't have to prove. By providing just a national identification number, they will be able to be verified whether they are a citizen or they are non-citizen. And I think that our Ghana card system do not solve that problem for us. Right. And so we need to rework around it. And we need to look at the Ghana card system also very well. Okay. The Ghana card we've seen it's not a national ID card. It's a regional document. It's a travel certificate. We have decided to turn it into a national ID, and the systems do not support it because.
Is the Ghana card bad?
It's not bad, but I'm saying.
So what are you saying?
I'm saying that the Ghana card is not a national ID. The Ghana card is an ECOWAS travel certificate. It was promulgated.
It's a form of identification. It's a form of identification nationally. We use it. It's accepted by the banks. No, it's accepted by every other entity. So what's the issue with it?
So it's a travel certificate. So if you want me to run through the history, when the
I don't want the history. We don't have time for the history. I'm asking for what it is used for now. What is it used for?
So it's not about what it's used for. The Ghana card was promulgated by ECOWAS to solve a problem.
Not all ECOWAS countries have it. Last year I was in Togo, in Lomé. They are now trying to get a system. We have it in place.
Because the ECOWAS gave ECOWAS countries up to 2017 to introduce the Ghana. So if some countries haven't introduced it, that's not the point. The point is that ECOWAS said the country should introduce it as a travel certificate within the ECOWAS sub-region so that it can make movement between countries within the sub-region free. We decided to to make it a national ID.
But what is wrong? What is wrong if you have that and you incorporate other things instead of having maybe one national ID and having the ECOWAS ID? You fuse them together. That is why we've been told that that chip on they are going to have some systems where you can use it for multiple purposes. What is wrong with that?
Let me tell you the problem.
What is the problem?
Is that with travel certificates, the data collected is for a different purpose. The data
you can have all of that consolidated on one card.
The data collected with a travel certificate is shared by border security in the sub-region. It is used specifically. So when you're collecting data, the purpose of the card will tell you what data you collect. And so for ease of travel, those data collected are going to be shared with, the other regional.
I'm still not getting your point. Hit the nail on the head. Like, go directly to it. So what is the issue?
My point is that ECOWAS introduced a card called an ECOWAS biometric travel certificate, which is an ECOWAS card.
Right.
The name of the card we are using is not Ghana card. It's an ECOWAS.
But it's also there, isn't it?
It's not Ghana. Have you seen your card? It is called.
We call it the ECOWAS
card.
Whatever.
ECOWAS card.
Here it is. You say it is not.
Yes.
I don't want to, for the sake of people not seeing my details. It says here, ECOWAS identity card. And it goes in other languages.
Is it a Ghana
Republic of Ghana.
Is
it the nomenclature that is your problem?
It's not the nomenclature. The issue is that I have spoken to immigration experts. In fact, over the weekend, I met even the head of ECOWAS.
I think this issue, we may have more time to talk about it, because I honestly don't get the thrust of what you're saying.
The point, so if you allow me to make my point, you understand?
No, we don't have that much time. So we are practically running out of time.
Just give me a minute, let me wrap up on this.
30 seconds.
So all I'm saying is that the Ghana card system do not solve the national identification system that we have because of the purpose for which it was promulgated.
Okay.
And so if we can find a way by having the social security system or the national identification number, not necessarily a card, but a number assigned to each citizen that can be used, so that without necessarily having to have multiple IDs and all that, so we can use that. The Ghana card in state do not solve the problems.
Okay, all right, thank you. Point made. Pope Francis has been criticized for Ukraine's white flag remarks, basically suggesting that Ukraine could take the lead in ending the crisis by hoisting the white flag. But he's been heavily criticized for that. It's his opinion. U.S. airlifts embassy staff from Haiti as gang violence escalates, and Israel's president pleads for peace at Amsterdam. Let's quickly get into some other stories. So, because of time, what I'm going to ask you to do is maybe do two stories per paper, or one, if need be, the major issue. I see the banner headline there in Republic Press to be LGBTQ bill haunts government. What's your take on that?
Well, I think it will haunt government because of the government's inability to set its position on this matter.
Has the president not made his position clear? The person we've not heard from is Dr. Baumia. But the president, whether he's vacillated or not, whether it is bound to happen like that first interview, he's gone on in the interactions with the Anglican Church, in interacting with other groupings. He's gone on to say that, listen, I'll go where the people want to go. Isn't that not clear enough?
But that's not a position. What is your position on LGBTQ? I mean, you have to make it. You see, my position is very clear, simple. As a Ghanaian and a traditional person, I do not support the activities of LGBTQ. But as a human rights activist, I'm also in tune with the rights of people who practice it. And so then I've always insisted on how do we balance the issue of cultural protections and the issue of social protections. And so and that's what I've said, that and that's the basis for my criticism for the current bill, when I say that the current bill do not address the key concerns or the core of the problem of LGBTQ, because it is more centered on punitive actions, and in these things, if you listen to doctors, psychologists, most of them have attributed the practice of some of these things into psychological issues and what have you. And so the idea should be reformation, rehabilitation. How do we get people out of some of these quagmires? What are some of the social factors that drag some of the people into some of these activities?
You make it sound like a simple psychological situation that can be dealt with. You do realize that a lot of those in that community will also tell you we're perfectly fine. There's
Yes.
no problem with us. How do you
So-
purportedly, and I'm not saying necessarily that means there's something wrong with them, but how do you solve a problem when the person you deem to be sick doesn't think he or she is sick?
So, I mean, when a doctor is doing diagnosis, he does a diagnosis based on a certain level of symptoms that they have. In our tradition, as Ghanaians, and our culture, we believe that people involved in those things may have some challenges. That is how we think as Ghanaians.
But you also know, and while I am very firm, I've made my position very clear on this, on the moral standpoint, and again on the human rights standpoint. But you do know that recently, I think it was Professor something, I've forgotten her name. I don't know whether it was, I'm being careful so I don't mention the wrong name. Making mention of the fact that, in certain cultures, she mentions two groups. I don't want to mention the groups in order not to. And there was a hard pushback that, no, this is not part of our culture or whatever. But the Kojo Besiers and the others have always been mixed with us. How do you respond to that? How do you react to it?
So that's why I'm saying that the people, the focus of the country should be help. How do we help these people? Right. Not just help them, how do we prevent people? Because there are few people who are naturally born into these things, but a huge chunk of people also are pushed into it through social-cultural conditions.
Okay, again, something else we can...
How do we help these people? How do we prevent young children?
You think the bill is what will help them?
No, the bill does not address the challenge. The current bill is so focused on punitive sanctions and how to punish people.
So you are for the bill, but you are against how the bill has been
and so we believe that the focus of the bill should be more reformatory, more rehabilitatory, getting people how to be more give help to people, the issue of non-custodial sentence come into play here. I mean, you cannot...
Okay, so I think we're on the same page on that. We both are in tune with what Afenyo Markin was saying. Rather than incarcerate them 3 years, 5 years, how about other mechanisms to ensure that they are...
There are evidence that our prison systems, based on
our prisons are choked,
support the activities of LGBTQ. So how do you then incarcerate somebody who suspected to LGBTQ, go and put them in conditions that will facilitate even the activities?
Let's check out headlines from the Ghanaian publisher. I'll do one and then we can go. What does the Ghanaian publisher say? Just the headlines. Or the Ghanaian Times and the Ghanaian publisher.
That my husband didn't die of food poisoning, John Kume's wife revealed.
Doctor, okay, yes. John Kume's wife.
Yes, and I think that it is too soon for the wife to be speaking. I mean...
Why? What do you know that she doesn't?
No, I think that, of course, the husband didn't die, she's mourning. She should leave some of these things for other people to address. I mean, and she should focus on...
She's the wife. Who else should address that?
No, I mean, of course, the husband is a politician. I mean, we've seen people who were in the political, on the political streets with the husband come out to publicly claim that the husband was poisoned. It's not somebody alleging. It's people who were...
You don't have a toxicology report. You don't have an autopsy report. Based on what are you saying?
Exactly. So with that autopsy report, the wife also cannot say he wasn't poisoned.
Okay, fair point.
So that's why I'm saying that the wife shouldn't be speaking at this point. She should allow an autopsy report to come out. I think when it comes out, we'll all see.
Okay. Right.
I mean, I think right now we shouldn't be too focused on what killed or what did not kill him. I think that we should focus on eulogizing him. John was a very affable person. I knew him personally. As a young person, how he rose through the ranks to become, Deputy Minister for Finance. He served his country. It's unfortunate that he has to go this early, and so we should focus on eulogizing him. He served his country at least till.
So we should focus on eulogizing
people.
Thank you.
Even when there were clear signs that he wasn't well, they said he came just to participate in the 6th March celebrations.
Okay. He's done his bit. He's paid his dues. We'll salute him for that.
Focus on
we'll wrap with the New Finder newspaper. Oponkroma tasks Hydro Authority to speed up drainage works. Spectacular opening ceremony, colorful display of rich cultural heritage, of course. That's for the All Africa Games. Malta president commends positive impact of NLA's operations. And this interesting one I'll wrap with. Daily Guide. MPs okay, $300 million loan. This led to a lot of wrangling in Parliament on the back of tax waivers, way more than this sum of $300 million. But at some point, the minority capitulated based on some words from the finance minister, Dr. Amin Adam. Mensa, thanks for coming. Thanks for joining us for breakfast this morning. That is Mensa Thompson, Executive Director, Alliance for Social Equity and Public Accountability. I want to say a big thank you to Sewa Abankwa of Saraban Clothing for my outfit this morning. She's located at Club 10 in Kanda. And if you'd like something as lovely as what you see me in, you can reach out to her on 0244 128591. 0244 128591. But before we sign off, Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic helping us bring you this segment. They're offering you, if you're a man, prostate screening for free. If you're a woman, fertility screening for free. Just reach out to them at any of their branches here in Accra at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. There's Kumasi Chronomabwe here behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takradianaji State, Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa, and Esiamanzama. Their call lines 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. My producer has sent me this, and I'm going to put it out. Happy 34th birthday to Belinda Ivy Richter and Beryl Ernestina Richter of Osu. One of them has been with us at some point. The twins, may this chapter usher you both into uncommon favor with love from your family and from all of us, Belinda and Beryl Richter. Have a wonderful birthday. On that note, let's segue into sports. Up next.
Good morning. Time now to bring you sports here on the AM show. With me, Muftar Nabila Abdullahi. On Friday, the opening ceremony for the African Games 2023 took place at the Legon Sports Stadium, the newly refurbished facility to hold the track and field events in this year's competition. President Akufo-Addo, who officially announced that the ceremony is opened for the rest of the continent to come to Accra and participate in the 29 sporting disciplines that will be competed for and honors given. He said that he's leaving a legacy of equipment and infrastructure that would be used by Indian unborn generations. My colleague Abdul Karim Benin was at the ceremony and comes through with this report.
Delay is not denial. This event delayed by 8 months. Right now, it is a reality. The rest of Africa is in Accra for the 13th edition of the African Games. Hundreds watching at the University of Ghana Sports Stadium, millions watching on television and digital media as the opening ceremony of the 2023 African Games unfolded. The local organizing committee chairman, Dr. Ofosu Asari, reckons this will be an exciting festival.
Ghanaians are very, very hospitable, and this is the time for us to demonstrate to our brothers and sisters from Africa. I want to appeal to all Ghanaians to join the LOC in welcoming our brothers from Africa. So on the whole, and on behalf of my colleagues of the LOC, I want to thank all of you once again. Join us to play the real host to all Africans here. Ghana has arrived. Put your hands together for Ghana for getting the opportunity to host the African Games.
It is a multi-million investment in infrastructure and logistics. Mustafa Yusuf, Ghana's Minister for Youth and Sports, believes it is a legacy built for unborn generations.
Your Excellency, bringing the African Games to Ghana, you are also leaving Ghana a legacy of unprecedented sports infrastructure and equipment which will possibly impact the development of sports in Ghana, as well as sports for development to boost socio-economic development of our motherland. Today, thanks to the 13th African Games, courtesy His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa, Ghana can boast of the finest multi-sporting discipline facilities in the sub-region. This facility will continue to be useful not only to Ghana, but to the entire sub-region for training and competition purposes. This is a unique opportunity for Ghana, and we are privileged and ready to deliver unforgettable games for Africa and the rest of the world.
If there was ever a legacy the sports world would appreciate and remember President Akufo-Addo for, then it is here.
These games should have taken place in August last year. As the name Accra 2023 suggests. However, we were compelled by factors beyond our control to push the games to March 2024. It has taken a lot of courage to have persisted with the decision to host the games, and I'm glad we went ahead. Today, we in Ghana can be proud of the massive sporting infrastructure we have put in place for the games, which will be a huge legacy for the country. Our commitment to hosting these games is a testament to our belief in the transformative power of sports and its ability to inspire, motivate, bring people together.
This ceremony wouldn't have been complete without musical performances to excite the crowd.
Event started on March 3 and Ghana won its first medal on Sunday, courtesy of Wilfred Ntumi, who won 3 medals, a gold, a silver medal and a bronze medal in the weightlifting category. Let's take a look at how she won the gold medal in the 49-kilogram contest, where she lifted it high to clinch gold for Ghana in the ongoing African Games. This was at the Legon Sports Stadium, where the event took place, and she won gold medal lifting the 49-kilogram category, where and even prior to this she had won silver and bronze in this same event. So Winifred Ntumi became Ghana's first medalist at the African Games. Now let's go to swimming, where we also won another medal. A silver medal was won by the captain of the Ghana swimming team, Abeku Jackson, as he finished second in the 50 meters butterfly race at the Boteman complex. This is the swimming pool, 10-lane swimming pool, where Abeku Jackson came second in the 50 meters butterfly, and this meant that he was able to clinch a silver medal for the country. So Ghana now has 4 medals in the ongoing African Games, which is hosted by the country. It's the first time Ghana is hosting the event since it started in the 60s, and this is the 13th edition, and Ghana has so far won 4 medals. The local organizing committee chairman, Dr. Ofosu Asare, presenting the medal to Abeku Jackson after he finished second in the 50 meters. Now let's hear from Abeku Jackson, who is excited to have won the medal for the country.
On myself, and I felt good. In the final, obviously, the sound of the crowd felt amazing. It's just, maybe today wasn't the day, but tomorrow we go again. We have 5 days of swimming, hopefully to be on the podium again and to get a knockout.
Welcome back on the show with me, Sweetie Abochi. You know that in the realm of political evolution, we are undoubtedly your election headquarters, and we've brought you up-to-the-minute updates on the activities of the two major political parties in the build-up to election 2024. John Mahama wants to build Ghana again. The NPP wants to break the 8. It's time now for us to hear from the convention's People's Party on how they are also preparing to win elections 2024. My guest, the chairperson of the CPP and flag bearer hopeful, Nana Frimpoma, is in the studio with me. It is good to have you. Good morning. Welcome on the show.
Good morning. Wonderful to be here. So nice to be in the face of such a pretty lady.
Thank you. And in the spirit of celebrating International Women's Day, I want to congratulate you because so far you are the only woman chairperson of a political party and flag bearer hopeful. Congratulations.
Wonderful.
How would you describe the journey so far for you? Having started as a running mate to Abu Sakara, to be elected as chairperson, and now flag bearer hopeful. How would you describe the journey?
It's been hectic, to say the least. However, and it's still a struggle. But I'm a woman.
Yeah.
I'm a determined woman. I have the whatever it takes to represent and fight for my children, the youth. I believe the whole conviction is about giving an alternative vehicle, an alternative to the Ghanaian youth. MPP NDC has failed us. And it's not just politics, it's the actual facts on the ground. And that is why, for some of us, we believe that we should tackle the core problem. It's not the people. I mean, we all know that John, what is his name? His former excellency,
John Mahama?
Yes, he's a very nice person. I liked him before he became a president. I used to watch him when he was on TV during those morning programs, and he made so much sense, you understand? And we all know Adogagai too. He's a very nice person. However, and down the line, most of the people working with them have good heart. I believe that. Yet, the country is not working. It's just not working. So
then let's start the conversation.
Yeah, so we need to bring a woman, in our tradition, when things really get tough, they tell you that Kobisa, thank you, is for a reason. Because somehow you can have you can look at the entire picture and not be biased and look at what is essential and what is important and what you should do today to be able to give that sort of equity, fairness to the people, to the Ghanaian people, to the youth, because time has soon, it's now you understand? Yeah. So how do we make it so that you have a better life? Because if we can't do that, we have failed completely.
Okay. So we are still in March, and we just celebrated Independence Day. And I think that the successes of CPP will always be mentioned in the same sentence with the independence of Ghana. Absolutely. And we've come a long way, 67 years of self-governance. What would be your overview of the progress we are making so far as a country? 67 years since your founder, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, liberated us from the colonial rule. How are we faring, in your opinion?
For some of us, it's personal and sometimes becomes emotional because not only when you look at the 67 years and you realize that anybody who have gone on pension might even have exhausted their pension, their funds already. And yet, where we are as a nation, we are only thankful that we are alive. That's what I can say, that we have the kind of youth that we have. That we have the kind of youth with resilience and who doesn't give up and is constantly trying to survive. And in the process, Ghana has sustained itself to now. Otherwise, I don't know where we would have been because the untold hardship. It's been said so many times that people don't even understand. Just do a small survey here. And if you can ask the people who are working here how they get in and out, unless a person is in a walking distance, you'll be surprised. Just the transportation alone. So today, I don't understand how the Ghanaian youth is so comfortably just sitting there, and I guess it's the way we've all been brought up, hoping that things will change. So the truth of the matter, my pretty, is that where we stand today, 67 years from now, ago today, it's a shame. It's a shame in the sense that we have disappointed the youth. We promised them economic independence. We promised that there was a reason. Yes, we are entitled. Nobody should take our liberation, our liberty from us. Going for independence is not like something that we should be even having clapping. We sent invaders away. But there was a reason why that group of people, or those group of people then, did what they did. Because enough was enough for them. They wanted to see themselves be able to manage and govern themselves so they can have access to quality housing, education, better living standards. That is what everybody is looking for. And that is what has evaded the Ghanaian youth. So where we sit today, the only people that we can claim all these things with ease are the people in government and in public sector. A strong part of the Ghanaian, more than 90% of the Ghanaian populace is petty trader. She's the person that gets up and is able to just buy adwene or kobe, onions, tomatoes, and that's all she sells to take care of the family. On a small tray. That is the entire Ghanaian, we call she has a job, and they're employed. That is the sort of employment. So the country is only focused on a small percentage in terms of the public sector and a few people. The strong members of this country are on their own.
So we are not doing so well. And we shouldn't be celebrating independence.
Absolutely not, not now. There will be no celebration of independence until we can at least be on the path to the economic independence. Let me give you some numbers so that we can understand where we are and where I stand.
Okay.
You see, on the 6th of March, I said under my administration, the swearing, the oath of allegiance, which without the oath swearing, there's no presidency. Okay. The president will remain a president-elect. Without that oath, when they go to parliament, they can't start because they must swear that oath. There is a reason and a purpose for that. And I'm saying over the years, 67 years now, we've been doing the same thing. The only time we can claim anything significant was the first 8-9 years after the independence. That was before 66. Major infrastructural projects. Unbelievable advancement that were made. Everything that was done then. Right. So today, unless it's been left to abandon and rot, even when you go there, go to Commander Sugar Factory. Don't go to the new one. Go to the old one. The old one that was put in 60 those days. You'll still find it sitting there, and it's been abandoned. Yeah. Unless it's been abandoned, the motorway can't be abandoned, so it's still the best road in Ghana. The Akosombo Dam can't be abandoned, so it's still the best that we use, not the thermal plants that have been bought, but that one. So here is the point. The point is that, why is it that we were able to build the Akosombo Dam and it's still as significant and it hasn't exploded? Because at that time, our fathers who worked with Osajifo, he being the leader and his team at that time, were more committed. They were more patriotic. They were more they had the interest of people. So today, what we are saying is that when you make that pledge, the whole entire system has collapsed. And that is the truth, my pretty lady.
Okay, so we'll get to the oath of allegiance and your view on what should be done with the water. But let's start the actual conversation from how the CPP is faring. News on You recently paints, should I say, an unclear picture of your game plan for winning election 2024. There was a resignation of the 8 executive member officials, and then there's the challenge of your legitimacy as a chairperson. And then your constitution says 2 years to election year. You should have a flag bearer. But as it stands now, it's you and Dr. Onsim Nkrumah, right, who are flag bearer hopefuls?
No, Green.
Okay,
Ivor Compton Green Street.
Okay, so he's also a flag bearer hopeful.
Yeah, we were the one that finished it. finish the preparation before the court case came in.
Okay, so how is the CPP faring? Would you say, or do you agree with a majority of population? I went through your social media presence on Instagram, Facebook, and most of the comments are saying that you are non-existent and stuff like that. Would you agree that you are experiencing a decline in popularity, the CPP, and how are you faring?
I agree with you perfectly. Indeed, this whole CPP has been orchestrated, not today. After Osagyefo was overthrown.
Orchestrated?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Okay. After Osagyefo was overthrown, the CPP itself was criminalized. The party was banned. If it was just for Osagyefo himself, the party shouldn't have been banned. But they banned the party. And our fathers were all jailed. And in the process, the party could not be used for a while. When we came back, we used a different name, PNP, during the Third Republic, and we won. Then during the Fourth Republic, there was a measure, and that measure was between us and the NDC of today. And so all the legs and whatever of CPP remained with the NDC when we came out from that conflict between our late father, Jerry Rawlings, and same again, our late father, what's his name? Aka.
Okay.
Okay, so CPP has had challenges from the base. So where we sit today, we don't have a base. However, some of us came in with only one vision, because life is not complicated. It is we that complicate it. The entire elephant, if you want to eat that, it's a slice at a time. So you solve a problem at a time. So we were focused on just building the base. And people clearly today, same enemies within that are always making sure CPP doesn't get up, knows that is the only way that CPP can become a viable alternative.
So how about
that has been the issue.
The last 4 elections, let's go back like just 20 years ago till now. What would you say that the same reasons you're giving is the reason why the CPP has not been able to win? You don't have any parliamentary representative, yes. And you have that 800,000 executive positions to fill. I watched an interview where we were talking about that. Would you say the reasons you're giving about how it's the decline has been orchestrated from the beginning of Nkrumah's time to now? If you know all this, what are you doing differently this year to ensure that you actually, you have a game plan for election 2024?
Absolutely. If you'd watch through whatever and even look just back the past since I took over, you realize that CPP has been in the news since beginning. It's not just the usual thing where we only come out during elections time. We've been fighting from day one, almost 3 years now, been in court, because the only way out is to go to the grassroots and mobilize them. As I talk to you, I brought you some forms here the other time. Every constituency in Ghana has those forms sitting there. Every polling station has a booklet of 20 applications with specific direction as to how to get it done. It is for those reasons that we are being fought, because they don't want the grassroots mobilization. But it is today, from here, I'm going to court.
Actually mobilizing grassroots.
As I can talk to you now, absolutely. Absolutely. We have members now. We have people.
How many people do you have now? How many executive officials do you have now?
For our known ones, which is at the top, or you mean the ones at the polling station?
The known ones.
Oh,
we know a number of them resigned, voluntarily resigned. We don't. If you want to get into what accounted for that voluntary resignation,
not now.
Okay,
I'll do
so
that.
how many people do you have as party executive members?
The whole place has been filled. You see, what happens at least when people resign, you replace them with acting executives. We have acting executives for General Secretary, acting executive for...
Who are they? Do you know them?
Oh, yes, Hilligard.
Okay,
Hilligard is a current acting executive as a General Secretary. We have Ko Mensah Frimpong, who is the acting executive for the National Organizer. We have Tijani, who is the acting for the Youth Organizer. We have the one for Women's Organizer. It's just one of
And you are the chairperson.
I am currently the chair and leader. Nobody has taken me out.
What happens to the interim council then? Was there actually an interim council that was set up?
I wasn't aware. I was in. Everything was planned.
But if you are the chairperson, how do you not know about things?
That is the point. That is why we are sitting here. That is why I have not walked away. Trust me, I'm not one of those people that just because after all, I'm a flag bearer of hopeful. So I would have walked away if it was done properly. But the very reason for which the party has stood where it is the reason why I'm still here. If I walk away now without making them do what is right, then it is going to be perpetuated, and anybody anywhere just has greened it. It was orchestrated by Ivor Kwabena Street. It's very clear. You can ask anybody. Just as he did, and a small group of people. What would happen is that anybody who thinks that he's losing a game, anybody who thinks that something is not in their interest or can't make it, will just organize a small group of people and say, we have come here, knowing clearly what the Constitution says, and just mess up. It won't happen. We will go through the system. So we are in court today as we live here. I'm going straight to the High Court, and they'll make a pronouncement whether there's anything called IC or not. The IC was formed had already closed the meeting. The meeting was closed. You can look at when I spoke to the press when I came out of the meeting. And an hour and a half later, a committee was formed. You don't form a committee and ask those people who actually resigned as part of them. It was all planned and orchestrated. And let me tell you why it was planned. Right after the NERC, it came out that everybody should now go vote for NDC. Go and check out. That CPP can't go for 2024. That all political parties in the whole country should stop and now follow NDC. It was planned. CPP is going to be on the 2024 ballot. At least I know I'll be there. Let me put it that way. Because we have an agenda, and that agenda is to ensure that this country is not taken for granted. Let me wrap. I think we should get to what we're discussing. Let me tell you. If you look, I wanted to read, but let's leave it there because I'll just people know it. If you look at the Auditor General 2021, it said that there was 17-point-something billion after having audited 101 companies and institutions, public institutions, 17-point-something billion. Then it came to 2022, 15-point-something billion, all missing. Then in 2023, we are talking about 12 billion. My pretty, under one of my initiatives called my 10K, which I'll find time to explain to you later. Okay. That means that 17 plus 15 plus 12, you are looking around 40-something billion. Okay, that's what it means. About 44 billion. 44 billion on paper, documented, Auditor General. Where are the people? And we have what we call the Special Prosecutor's Office. We have Yoko. We have all these departments that has been put together to be able to ensure that we do what is right. How do you get such missing money? You don't get it back, and we just get to hear. It's so frustrating. And we have Parliament that's supposed to investigate us and ensure that that money is taken and give over. If it's 40 billion, and you said you are talking about 10,000-ish capital. Since we are petty traders, it means that 4 million, listen to me, youth of this country, 4 million Ghanaians under the My 10K would have be given money to be able to work. 4 million Ghanaians. So, what does it mean? And I sat here and told you that I think our father Mahama and Nanado, them all are nice people and good people. So what it means is that something is the matter. That is why that we are asking that we change and add our tradition back into our pledge.
You don't think the Quran and the Bible will suffice because this is still a form of oath swearing? What role is the water going to play that the Bible and the Quran cannot do?
Thank you. Okay. We are saying that first of all, because I respect people, I said the people who want to sign on the Quran, because I'm a Christian, so I still want to use the Bible. But that Bible should be infused with what it is, the essence of the people, the spirits of the people. Let the vulnerable in the church pay for the Bible, not the office of the president. Because there's no connection. Let the vulnerable pay for the Quran, not the office of the president, neither the Ministry of Education. So it becomes like a paper that you are swearing on. The swearing on the Bible is between you and your God, in God. The swearing with the state is a different, is the oath. Then I am saying infuse the ones with the people, with the land, so that let the poor people, the beggars on the street, the woman whose child, like I had a child in the US at £1.12 ounces, barely 26 months, but she survived. She's finished her master's today. Because she stayed in the incubator for 5 months. There's no incubator systems even working in Ghana now. Let that woman be the one paying for that incubator baby, 10 pesos. Let the person, so that, listen, you know, you and I, we have conscience. Something must tell you not to do something. Something must prick your conscience. I believe in science. I believe in AI. But I believe that all these things are put together by the same human being. When the mind is warped, it's not correct, you can't even design or even produce anything. When you believe that you have to do what is right for the people because you have a covenant with them, if there was no need for a covenant, then why are we doing the oath?
Is this what we really need? I'm
Absolutely.
sure you're talking about corruption and how we can curb it and get our leaders to actually execute their mandates, you know, and do right by us as a people. They've already sworn by the Bible, and this is where we are. So what is the significance of the word? Is it just instigating fear in them? Is that what we need to put our leaders on their toes?
What is the essence of the swearing by the Bible, my dear? If I can ask. We need to be scientific and ask questions. Why are they swearing by the Bible? When you answer that, then you answer why I'm saying that we are traditional. We are.
So then it could be an option. But how are you sure this would work? Like
we are going out there. Yeah. For me, so far, all the people who are struggling believe that should be done. Okay, and then we are taking it to the legislature. We are taking it everywhere. We are asking the traditional council to be part of it. Governance is not just about people foreign concepts. We have used this system severally before we came. I'm saying that, listen, today, our father said he was going to put his presidency on the line for Galamsey to be stopped. He put one of the people that you and I believe was, I personally trusted him. That's Professor Primpong Boateng, because of who he was in terms of his history. But at the end of the day, we have Galamsey worse today than it was before they took. And he himself said that the members of the committee that was put together by the president, i.e. the ministers, were not coming to the meeting anymore. The president said he was going to build a house of to God. He himself, that is his pact with his God. I can say no. Whatever whatever it is a different discussion. But that's what he wanted to do. He didn't call you. He didn't call me. He called people that he trusted and people within that godly whatever that he knows that they are. But yet it didn't work. It didn't work. The Bible has lost its significance. Okay. So we need to add. And in any case, when we are doing any program in this country, after we pray with the Quran, we ask the Bible, the traditional authorities
that
also.
Was the point I was going to make. The majority is Christians, Muslims, and then we have the other religious groups. So maybe it should just be an option, but not to force them to swear by water.
My dear, let me ask you something. It's not the majority. Every one of us is from a traditional area.
Right.
And within that traditional area is our chieftaincy, traditional council. If the chief today says, oh, citizens of Agbozume should come and do something, you'd feel inadequate if you didn't go, unless something stopped you. You understand? You'd want to go there. And if you didn't go there because maybe you didn't grow up there, but your father and mother who did, would want to go and make their contribution to that area, because that is where technically our spirit is. We are not saying, I'm not talking about deity. I'm not talking about the fact that some spirit is sitting somewhere. I'm talking about the spirit in you. I'm talking about the land that you are on, the food that you eat. I'm saying that the very essence of who we are, that should stop me from not doing what is wrong to people. If the Bible hasn't done it over the years, and I'm telling you, the cathedral currently is supposed to be owing, there's supposed to be 60-something million US dollars. 200 and something million has already been given to the secretariat. Now the minority has gone to make this whole satire situation about trying to recommission the center. What is the point here? the point I'm making is simple. If we don't infuse into our pledge something that will ignite integrity back in us, that is not the only solution. But no matter what project you come up with, just as the Galam say, that's the presidency put his line on, just as trying to build a house for God and putting God's people to handle it, that has failed. And just as we before did motorway, which is today the best, by people who at that time were believed in making Ghana work. I said we need to reset the button.
If you got the mandate to rule this country as the president or, you know, as the flag bearer of the CPP and then voted into power, this is something you want to do.
Absolutely.
So how are you ensuring that you actually get there? I'm still asking about your game plan. What are you doing this year in the build-up to election 2024 to ensure that you at least get some parliamentary representation?
Thank you. That is part of the game plan. The game plan is to let people know what we intend to do differently. It's not just to come up with ideas, because the ideas somewhere. 24-hour economy. I don't even want to go there. But let's even assume it's the best. It will fail in 24 hours. You know why? No matter what funds come in, it will be siphoned back to the very places that it came from. Not because the president doesn't have a vision or doesn't want to do the best. His very own people that he's going to put in that committee, the very people supposed to make it happen, will now have to pay for their expensive primaries. And it's not their fault, too. They have to pay for the expensive primaries now, they owe, and then pay for the next primaries, and then pay for the people who put them there. It's not an easy thing. We are all trapped. We are trapped in a situation that we need to bring our spirits up. We can't just, listen, people talk about those societal issues are different from water. Petrol, did you bath today?
Of course.
Did you drink or will you be drinking today?
Yeah.
That's the point.
But that's more scientific than traditional, wouldn't you?
No.
Yes, the African traditional religion has its own, you know...
We're not talking about religion here.
Water.
I'm not talking about
drinking
religion.
water and bathing with water, that's more scientific.
No, I'm saying that if you swear on the Bible, is that scientific?
No, it's not scientific.
If you swear on the Quran, is that scientific?
It's religious.
That's my point. Then let's swear on water, which is our land, which is our tradition, which is something that every day I'm bathing will remind me that, hey, there's some poor people who bought that water that you had a pact with. So make sure that you do what is right. As a doctor, ensure that you take care of the patients. As a nurse, don't have another hospital. That is just, you send patients there and bring them to this hospital. Listen, please let me round up with what Okoboy said. Honorable Okoboy, I love that gentleman a lot. And in 2022, he says something that is very important. He said that he being at NHIS and knowing how much money that you and I pay, because 80% of the NHIS money comes from deduction at source. You understand? As long as you are buying your petrol, sitting in the church, so you have paid for your NHIS. As you are buying the water, you've paid for your NHIS. And he says that money that is collected, if government will pay it into the right department, listen, that's what you are going to say you. Your grandparents, when they are sick, anybody, Ghana would not have to pay 1 cent for any disease, no surgery, all surgery, including dialysis, including incubators. But today we know that is not happening. Mismanagement, corruption, it starts from the mind, it starts from the heart. You must love people to do what is right. It's not just scientific. Scientific. It's not just if you can swear on the Bible and you say that it's okay. And we say, we as Ghanaians, let's add water, and you have a problem with that. Then you know that one is more powerful.
We have to go. So when do we get the name of the elected flag bearer of the CPP? Before December?
Currently, we have a code out there, *920*277#. If I tell you the number of people calling every time on that star number to join CPP, if I tell you the number of people
I'm
making a point. Okay. The election officially is supposed to be in July. Okay. That was what we agreed at NEC before whatever happened, that will do the elections in July. Between now and May, we'll finish the internal one. We are not in a rush because we need the base. Without the base, we got 12,000. Before that, 24,000. Before that, 25,000. That is nothing. We need to get to the Jubilee House, have the youth become the parliamentarian. You see what is going to happen going forward. Because we will swear by the oath, proper allegiance to the people, that yes, indeed, what belongs to you will be done, and that what God has given, we are taking the position because we know we have the ideas, we have the zeal to make it work like we did before. But if we do not, if you want me to swear by the Bible, and you think that is colonial, that's the invaders' approach. You want me to swear by the Quran, but you say water is deity.
Okay, we need to wrap up, but I want to chip this in because you're talking about tradition and who we are as native people. This controversial LGBTQ plus bill that's been passed by Parliament, which is still in court, and a lot of debate is still going. Standing on the edge of this precipice, which way ought Ghana lean, do you think? Or what's the significance of this bill?
I think the significance of the bill for me should be deterrent. It should deter people. I mean, when people grow up with feelings of for this sex or that's opposite or for the same sex, it shouldn't be seen as evil. We should tell them it's not acceptable. Because I'm a mother and a grandmother as such, I wouldn't say that my child should be jailed for having that kind of feeling. But I would do everything. I will start from the school system. I'll start from letting him know that man is with woman. Woman is with man. If you have that feeling, you are not evil. Curb it and control it. That is what I'll do. You are either a man or you are a woman. You can't be both. You understand?
Thank you so much for joining us. It was good chatting with you. I appreciate that. Nana Frimpoma, who is the chairperson of the Conventional People's Party and flag bearer hopeful for the CPP. She was my guest talking about their preparations for elections 2024. But stay with us. There's still more to come after this.
At the end of the conversation, the flag bearer's choice was made known to
Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, being retained as John Mahama's running mate, started flying around weeks ago. Although the party was tight-lipped about her being selected for the second time to partner John Mahama, activities on the day of the official announcement all pointed to her. The party formally informed the public about its decision to select Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman after a closed-door meeting at its headquarters in Accra.
The Council of Elders meeting went very well, followed by the NEC meeting, at which, at the end of the conversation, the flag bearer's choice was made known to the national executives of the party. And he communicated to us that he was very much satisfied with the running mate that he went into battle with in the year 2020. And therefore, the nomination, the name for the running mate, as you know already, is Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman. She will be the running mate for the NDC come December 7, 2024. Now, what we want to let you know is that Prof. Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman is a distinguished academic and leader, renowned for her dedication in education and in public service. She has served as Minister for Education and also was the first female Vice Chancellor of the University of Cape Coast. She has distinguished herself as a trailblazer for women in leadership across the country. Her nomination, therefore, underscores our party's unwavering commitment to inclusivity and empowerment of women in leadership.
Former Vice Chancellor of the University of Professional Studies, Accra, and former campaign manager of the NDC, Professor Joshua Alabi, expressed confidence in the party's choice and believes she will help deliver victory for the National Democratic Congress in December.
It's the best choice for this election. There was a market scheme, it was very tight, and she emerged the best. And for us, we've got what we wanted, and what is left for us to do now is to focus on our campaign and move straight to work. The market scheme, like the General Secretary said, integrity, ability to handle issues in the absence of the president.
Of course, that we're bringing you because of the discourse we're about to have. We're going to be focusing now on the running mate saga, the political parties, and what they ought to be focusing on, what we as a people as well should be expecting as far as those dynamics are concerned. Joining us for a conversation on this all-important subject, especially as now the NDC, or the former president, John Dramani Mahama, has confirmed Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman as the person he wants to go alongside him one more time as they contest for the highest offices of the land. Well, joining us for a discussion, we have Dr. Kobi Mensah. He is a political marketer at the University of Ghana Business School. Professor Kobi Mensah, my apologies. And then there's also Dr. John Osai-Kwapong. I actually switched the two of you there. I did a switcheroo. Dr. John Osai-Kwapong, he is a CDD fellow. So, Prof and Doc, good morning to you.
Good morning, Benjamin.
Prof, you've played hide and seek with me for a while now. I'm exposing you live on air. The last time I called, I didn't hear back from you. But it's good to have you join the conversation this morning.
Thank you. Good to see you. And hello to John. Good to see you, John.
Good morning to you too, Prof. Good to see you.
Thank you.
All right, so let's start from the very start. John Dramani Mahama last week re-endorsed, if you like, Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman as his running mate. As far as the MPP is concerned, we do not know yet who will get the nod. Names have been bandied about from, unfortunately, the man who has met his demise now, and we still mourn him, John Kuma. But we've also had the Energy Minister, Matthew Opoku-Prempeh, the Education Minister, Yaosei Duchum, Osei Mensah, and all of those in there. But when you look at where we are now, for starters, where we are now, and the situation where the two major political parties are now telling us whom they are going to be running with, what picture does that paint for you? I'll start with you, Professor Mensah.
Thank you. I think that possibly the political parties must look for someone who is not overly partisan, because we're in a very dire position. I mean, nobody could actually say that we're in a good state. And so you want someone who can really articulate the national issue, or who can be very much concerned about the state of play currently. We're talking about high proportions of unemployment. There are quite a lot of young people who have actually sort of left in terms of their belief in this country. They've left that particular position. They don't believe in the country anymore. They think that their future actually lies elsewhere. And so we see droves of people, actually, leaving the country. Now, obviously, you want somebody who could, articulate why young people should believe in the country again. So you need almost like a statesman or stateswoman, a statesperson, who can actually have that particular, rhetoric, that passion to actually speak to young people. There are quite diverse issues. We don't have only, economic issues. We have quite a lot of other issues that are very important. Obviously, the economic issue always sort of highlights or, headline the campaign for obvious reasons. But there are people who also have quite, other important issues that we haven't been able to bring to the front burner of the political campaign, such as people who are differently able. They have a lot of challenges. This country had never been fair to such people, such as women. Up to now, we're talking about empowerment. we're talking about women empowerment, but we haven't put concrete, actions in place to address that. Now, you need someone who can actually articulate passionately some of these issues that I've talked about. So the country needs people who are not overly partisan, who are very much, country-centric, who are very much passionate about other issues that are confronting people practically, so that they could actually have faith in this country again. So I think that these are what the political parties must be looking at.
For you, Dr. Kwapong, what are the fundamentals when you look at the political parties and where we are in terms of the running mate situation?
Well, political parties are in it to win, fundamentally election. And so I'm sure that one of the things they would be looking at is the political dividends that they believe the person would bring to the ticket. Can that running mate who is being chosen to partner the presidential candidate help deliver political dividends for that candidate? So that's one fundamental thing that I believe the parties look at, the presidential candidate looks at, as he, looks at, a slate of candidates, and then eventually ends up with one particular person as the running mate that I believe can deliver those political dividends. But beyond that, the presidential candidate also then looks at, should I win this election? Is this the person that I believe can partner me and help me govern the country and deliver on all the many promises of various policies and programs that I will be, our party will be rolling out as the election season goes on, and see whether the person also, quote unquote, in the eyes of Ghanaians, in the eyes of the party, you can look at the person and say, yes, this person, quote unquote, can do the job, of a vice president. They have to also look at their working dynamics and working relationships. But for me, the other important thing about this choice is the fact that our political parties over the years, have talked about gender parity, their commitment to, opening up the political space to women, etc., etc. And I know that every so often we do get, a number of women who seek elected positions. But I think the other way to ensure that gender parity is to be intentional about some of these appointed roles. So sometimes I do say that, when they make the commitment that I would appoint X number, in a cabinet or to ministerial positions, given what we know about the challenges that women face in the electoral space when they contest for elected positions, the other way to do it, to seek that or to get that gender parity, is how you use the appointment power, or how you use selections such as who becomes, a running mate as another way of doing it. And so for me, this is also one of the things that I've been reflecting on, which is the intentionality with which a particular candidate is trying to achieve gender parity as we talk about women in our political and governance spaces.
Let's look at what essentially is expected of a running mate. And I pose that question, starting with you. It's to both of you, but I'll start with Prof. I pose that question because, especially with the Bawumia factor, what was expected of a running mate has seemed somewhat different from what maybe we expected of Aka, what we expected of Aliu Mahama, what we expected of Atta Mills at a point, then Aliu Mahama, then John Dramani Mahama himself. The running mate situation, who becomes a vice president, the expectations, what really are they?
Okay, well, just like we have in marriage, running mates are actually companionship, not competition. You want to make sure that you have somebody who can complement you, i.e. fill your gaps. So you're saying that if you need counsel, who can give you that particular wise counsel that indeed you could actually sort of use to solve some of the many problems So it is not only about connecting stakeholders in the campaign, but as John said, if you are not, in the country, or you're not governing, you're not within the jurisdiction at a particular point, or even if you are not in a position to govern, do you have a stable hand, a very solid mental fortitude, the judgment, the character to actually govern the country? So you have someone who is actually playing that role. So you look at your characteristics and you look at how to plug the kind of gaps that you find within your characteristics. Now you need somebody who actually would appeal to certain voter blocks. Now I have always said that, look, in the elections, just like we have in a marriage, there are some issues that your wife can actually speak better to your children than you would do, because obviously of the particular issue and their characteristics. All right. So there are certain voter blocks that perhaps you would have a certain character in a candidate that could speak passionately to them and could be much more convincing than the flag bearer themselves. There are certain situations that perhaps someone with a different character can actually solve better. If you look at the Jerry Rawlings and Atta Mills, both of them of blessed memory, they had two completely different characteristics. And so when situations come, you could deploy perhaps Atta Mills, for example. Other situations, Jerry Rawlings can actually handle better because they had two completely different characteristics. And there are situations that require, different characteristics to hand over. If you look at stakeholder groups, all right, there are some stakeholder groups that are better handled by a different character, different personality than other character, other personality. So there are situations, stakeholders, communication issues. There is a certain counsel that a candidate needs. The candidate needs certain reassurances, etc. So all these issues come to play when you're selecting your running mate. And I'm sure that the candidates themselves, when making decisions about these things, this structured approach of selecting who best fits, I think actually comes into memory. So certainly you have to look at all that. And I have said that in the campaign, although the economic issues had been predominant, all right, there are some other issues that are quite important in people's lives. And we haven't been able to make salient, we haven't been able to prime those issues. Characteristics themselves could prime issues depending on the person that you're bringing onto the campaign trail. So certainly these are some of the issues that you want to consider, when you're considering your running mates here.
For you, Dr. Kwapong, what do you think the real dynamics are? I believe they've shifted over time. I don't know whether you agree, but what would be the expectations of such a candidate at this point in time?
And to add to what Professor Kobe-Mensah just said, you're right that if I think back to 92, 96, even 2000, I don't recall, the role of the running mate being, quote unquote, a really high stakes issue or being, a really crucial part of our conversation. It always, for me, appeared that around 2000, the key driver for the political parties was always maintaining that regional balance. So if their presidential candidate was from the southern part of the country, then they picked a running mate from the northern part of the country and vice versa. But I think after the 2012 election petition and Dr. Bawumia being the main witness for the MPP, sort of started giving us this different view of, the role of the running mate, right? The person who can actually step in and make a case for the party's interest on very important issues. Yes, in that case, it was the election petition. But I believe that 2016 really became the game changer for the role of the running mate. Because I mean, if you look at the MPP campaign in 2016, for example, I'm sure most people will agree that Dr. Bawumia was the face and voice of that campaign, making a strong case of the economic case against the John Mahama administration and making that same economic case for the Nana Addo administration, right? And the reason why they should be voted in power. And so I think right at that point, we started looking at the vice president or the running mate differently, right? Can they make a case for why their party should be elected? Can they articulate the economic issues? If you recall, in 2016, all of a sudden, we started hearing a lot more about the role of the vice president on the economic management team and the touting of Dr. Bawumia's economic credentials as being the right person to partner. So some of that, I think, changed the way we started looking at the running mate. But just like Professor Kobi-Mensah said, it's a merit of all of those things. Ultimately, I believe that the candidate looks at who can best partner me to win this election, taking into consideration all of those things, who can help me articulate the issues, who can help me go into certain places to make the case for our political party. I believe are all the things that the parties look at, the candidate himself looks at and says, I want person A as opposed to I want person B.
I'll come back to you, Professor Kobi-Mensah. Now let's look at the choice, because the NDC has its choice now sewn up, done and dusted. Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman is going to be another ticket for those two. If you had to assess her, or dissect her, so to speak, looking at her strengths, weaknesses, pros, cons, fortes, foibles, what would you say? The package, Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman. That's for you, Professor Kobi-Mensah. I'll start with you.
Okay, yeah, sorry. Okay. Well, firstly, if you want to understand, what the package is, I think you have to, first of all, break it down. That is the personality down. You can look at her track record. Obviously, she had been a vice, chancellor. She had been a minister.
First female vice chancellor of a public institution in Ghana.
Absolutely. And then, of course, she had been a minister of education. So you can look at the track record, what is in store in terms of her competences. Her performances at the university, at the ministry, can actually be one. Now, two, you can look at her personality. Obviously, take away the demographics, but you're talking about the temperament. You're talking about, the what we call the hue. All right, how does she really accept things? How does she appear to be, listening to people? I mean, how does she gauge people? How does she, tolerate people, etc. All right. So you're looking at the characteristics in terms of her temperament, in terms of her composure, in terms of her, dominance, etc. You're looking at that. Of course, you're also looking at her networks. All right. Having been, an academic, I am sure that you could actually plot the stakeholders within her network. You can talk about not only university level, but you're talking about academics in all round. You're talking about training colleges. You're talking about even the senior high schools. You're talking about the junior high schools. You're talking about the females, all right? And then you're talking about people who champion women empowerment issues, diversity issues, etc. You can actually look at that. And then, of course, you can look at her demographics, as in the geographic space. You're talking about.
Hello, Prof.
For example, how does she appear? And then, of course, having been in politics, I'm sure that for now, you can talk about her experiences, because in the first place, when she was selected, you probably could actually say that the experience, although she'd been in government, but hadn't been at a frontline elected office,
She may have been green as far as the political space was concerned.
Absolutely. Just like when Bawumia came onto the fore in 2008, for example. But now you could say that she had actually been at the forefront of the political, system. So these things are the ones that can help you gauge, what she brings to the package. If you evaluate it and it's positive, of course, you can talk about her contribution. If you evaluate that and it's negative, of course, it talks about her, negative equity onto the campaign.
If you were to do the same assessment, weigh Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman on the scales of her merits, what would they be? And demerits as well, Dr. Kwapo.
On her merits, I look at her academic profile and credentials.
Right.
I find them very impressive. I look at the leadership roles she's played again in academia, and the fact that she's also played a leadership role in our education sector. The work that she's done post-leaving government work. I also look at her, I look at her personality. She doesn't strike me as an overly partisan person. And one of the things that I appreciate about people in the political spaces, I have a very conciliatory nature towards politics. And so I always say that I appreciate candidates who don't approach politics with a very adversarial, that sort of adversarial
zero-sum game.
Yes, so that for me is one of the things that I appreciate about her personality and her approach to politics. I think what may have been a challenge, but I believe she's had 4 years to work on it, was that in 2020, I don't think she was really at the forefront, or at least deeply involved in NDC partisan politics. I think the late selection of her in 2020 also presented a challenge. But I believe that between 2020 and now, 4 years has passed, she's had enough time to build inroads into the party, to build even a much stronger relationship with former President John Mahama. She's become more involved in the party's politics, which tells me that the acceptance is much deeper, broader, and wider now. And so for me, when I put it all together, I think I sincerely believe that former president made a good choice in terms of who he wants to partner him going into the election.
All right. Hold for me, gentlemen. There are other pertinent questions I want to raise, but let me usher in Professor Ransford Jampo. He is with the University of Ghana, and he joins the conversation as well. He's a political scientist. Prof, good morning.
Morning. It's been a while.
It has. It's really good to have you join the conversation this morning. I hope you've been well. Hello, Prof.
Yes, hello. Good
yes,
morning.
I was asking, I hope you've been well. It doesn't appear Prof can hear me very well, I don't think, or maybe...
Hello?
Yes, Prof. What do you mean?
I can hear you.
Okay. So we've started the conversation and we're focusing on the running mate situation, but we're focusing now on Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman and what she brings to the table. What would you say, from where I sit, I see her to be a person in the mold of former President, may his soul rest in peace, John Evans Atta Mills, her demeanor, her positioning in politics. But that failed to work and worked at different times. Some would say he was too soft, he was too this and that, though he was a running mate and later he became the substantive. That was the tail of the tape for him. Do you see the same thing as far as Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman is concerned?
Well, I do not necessarily agree with that view. I think we should just look at the reasoning behind her choice as running mate to President Mahama. Number one, purely from a principled position, I believe that the woman was selected to represent a certain minority, and the need to address a problem that confronts a group. Essentially, she came in as a solution that helps to address the marginalization of women, at top echelons of decision making, and also sometimes, or most of the times, at even lower echelons of decision making. Now, the quest to ensure the effective participation of women at this stage of ours has not been fully achieved. So women, the history of Ghana's fourth republic shows that we have not had a woman at the presidency, running for the presidency before. Or we haven't had a woman who has been elected president before. We haven't had a woman who has been elected vice president before. And the party, or I believe President Mahama's view, was to ensure that at least you bring the quest for women's empowerment and their effective and substantive participation in decision-making into the
But very quickly, Prof, very quickly, pardon the interjection, but that wagon, hasn't it long set off? Because we had a woman Speaker of Parliament, Bamfuado. We've had a woman act as IGP at a point. We've had women from Justice Wood serving as Supreme Court Chief Justice. In fact, we have the third one currently in the person of Justice Tokonu, Gertrude Tokonu, among others. Hasn't that bandwagon, hasn't it set off a long time ago?
Even though the doctrine of separation of powers and checks and balances places, for instance, executive, the legislative and judicial arm of government at par with each other, in terms of who really wields a lot of influence, is at the level of the presidency. And so this is the first time you have a flag bearer contemplating the idea of bringing women to the level of the presidency. And I think it's something that is commendable. That idea was not achieved in the last election. And so if it hasn't been achieved, and you still have the chance to ensure that it is achieved, then purely from the principled position, I believe it makes sense for the same ticket to be.
Hello, Prof. Are you done with that point?
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Are you done with that point?
Yes, I'm done with that point.
So on the back of what you said, I'm going to fast forward a bit. I'll come back much later, but I'm going to fast forward a bit. Are you then saying, because the NDC, for example, has its own dynamics, John Dramani Mahama, if the NDC wins, cannot go for another term. This will be his final term, if the NDC wins. Would you then...
My brother?
No, I'm making a point. Would you then say that, for example, with the dynamics, people have said a certain caliber of running mate should be picked so that that person can continue from there? Do you believe Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman can do that come 2028 if the NDC wins the coming elections?
Okay, you see, I'm sorry to say this, but you see, I wanted you to let me finish. I would have addressed all the subsequent issues, including this one that you are raising. But I want to flow systematically. I would have got it there. So let me continue, but I'll address this particular question that you have raised, yes, in a jiffy. So let me flow with my two main reasons, and then I'll come there. So the second reason is that, look, if you feel that President Mahama in 2020 election, and you feel that Nana Opoku-Agyeman to partner him in that election, and then we are saying some experiences have been garnered following the 2020 elections, and we are saying that the 2020 elections outcome was a victory for the NDC, although it was with a taste of defeat, then practically it is sensible for you to continue with that ticket, because if you look at the vote margin of the NDC in 2016 elections compared to the vote that the party garnered in 2020, the party's vote appreciated. And like I said, the outcome of the 2020 election was a victory with the taste of defeat for the NDC. For the MPP, it was a defeat with a taste of defeat. Okay, so that positive outcome of the election is such that you cannot then want to change a ticket that brought that kind of positivity in terms of outcome to that election. So then it makes sense for them to continue. Now, to your point, the issue that you raised, I am thinking that the idea of bringing on board Nana Akufo-Addo is to also protect the peace and yes, the peace of the party, and to create a certain field that would be even for all who would want to take over or jostle for power, take over from President Mahama as leader of Black Belt of the party. The idea is that you do not want a situation where you pick a relatively younger and ambitious person as running mate, so that when you do that, it creates or it becomes a dress rehearsal for that person to want to take over from President Mahama. If you do that, you create an uneven playing field for the others who also want to jostle for that same position. So it makes sense to bring somebody who would comfortably retire with President Mahama, and then the field is becomes even for all who want to contest to lead the party as flag bearer in future. So I think the idea is to go away in future in peace with the running mate, so that it becomes even for all those who want to contest. If you pick any of those who are angling to take over from President Mahama as running mate, then you give that person an unnecessary head start over the other contenders. And I tell you that then the party, the Mahama would leave the party rancorous and acrimoniously, because people would fight and fight. People will be trying to fight to impress, people will be trying to fight to undermine that particular running mate, and that will not augur well for the party's own peace and then its performance in government. So I think that it was a wise step to pick President Nana Akufo-Addo so that President Mahama would exit with her and then create the even playing field for all others who want to come on board to fight or to contest for the flag bearership or the leadership of the party.
Right. These are questions I'm going to pose to all three of you, Prof, Doc, and then Professor Jampo as well. But because I know you have to go, Professor Jampo, I'm going to run the two by you quickly, and then when you're gone, I'll run it by the other guests. So, one, does Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman carry the same burden that, for example, Dr. Bawumia carried and still carries? If she becomes the vice president, the whole bit about being a member, whatever the convention is, or chairing the economic management team, will still be there. But will she be held to that same fire as Dr. Bawumia is being held to? Or will she be expected to contribute more towards the area of education? That's question number one. And question number two, on a scale of 1 to 10, at this time, how do you feel the partnership with John Mahama, with Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman? How strong is it on a scale of 1 to 10? Those two quick questions, and then you can take leave of us, Prof. Professor
Well, we
Dampo.
are saying, will she continue to play the role as chair of the economic management team and all that? The Constitution does not say that a vice president should be the chair of the economic management team.
That's why I said convention, not.
Well, it is our own evolution, and it is conventions take a long time to evolve. We can scrap that. We can discontinue that. But even if you want to do that, you are just a chair. And an effective and a competent chair knows how to steer up the affairs of a team, even if he or she does not have the requisite capabilities or skills or knowledge in that area. I mean, I chair so many things. I sit as chair of among of a committee of intellectuals, and sometimes I do not even fully have a first grasp over the issues that are being discussed. But as chair, you know how to surround yourself with people who have the technical know-how. You do not need any qualification apart from being a lawyer to become a minister. You do not need any qualification in any area under ministry. That's how come Kwame Adufo was for once was adjudged the best minister under Kufuor as when he was a minister of defense. Yet he's not a soldier. He wasn't a soldier. He's a medical doctor. And so we have examples of people chairing the economic management team, and they were not economists themselves. So I think that it is your capacity to be able to surround yourself with the right caliber of people and your ability to be fair to superior knowledge and wisdom, and your willingness to be cool about the area that will make you succeed in handling that particular portfolio as a chair of the economic management team. So if you want to do it, he's a professor, you'll be able to do it. Number two, in terms of how
strong is the partnership on a scale of 1 to 10?
Well, I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, I think if you ask me, given the fact that she was asked to partner Mahama, and Mahama has again decided to continue on that tangent, I think if they weren't there, Mahama will not bring her on board to partner her. So I'll score them around 8/10.
8/10?
Yes.
All right. Professor Jampo, thank you so much for joining the conversation. We're grateful for your time. He is a political scientist at the University of Ghana. We also have joining the conversation Haruna Mohammed. He's Deputy General Secretary of the NPP. Haruna, good morning. Haruna, can you hear me? Good morning.
Yeah, I can hear you. Good morning.
I hope you're doing well.
I'm doing well.
All right. I'll come to you in a second because I want us to focus. When I bring you in, I want you to give your verdict on the Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman before we segue into the MPP. So please just hold for me. Professor Kwabena, those two questions to you and to Dr. Kwapong as well. Prof, are you ready with your take?
Yeah, of course I am.
Right.
I always tell people that, if you look at a president, every president has a particular area of discipline. And currently, our president is a lawyer. Everybody knows that. But of course, our president is not a financial person. Our president is not a medical doctor. Our president is not. But the president is supposed to be jack of all the facets of the economy, isn't it? So if you look at leadership is not about your technical competencies in terms of the area that you have. But leadership is about mobilization. Leadership is about organization. Leadership is about coordination. Leadership is about communication. Have you got the character to do these things that I've highlighted? All right. And as Professor Jampo said, if you have to defer decisions to people, if you have to actually bring in people, have you got that sense of competence to be doing that? I quite remember during former President Kufuor's time when he was campaigning, and NDC was actually saying that he was a lawyer, but he hadn't been in a court before, etc. What he said was his role as a presidential candidate, and when he becomes a president, is to bring in the talents that are needed to govern the country. But he's not supposed to be doing all those things that people think that you have to do. No. And of course, that's what leadership is about. You are supposed to assemble a team to work. And so EMT, of course, we see the model which had been said before about how Jerry Rawlings actually handled that. Apparently, I'm not sure in terms of the veracity of it, but of course, people have said that that there was somebody else who was the head of the EMT at the time. I mean, during the early days of it. All right. If that is the case, why must we say that by all means she needs to chair it when there are frameworks of that? And as Professor Jampo said, when you are chairing it, it doesn't mean that you have to have the competencies in that particular area. You could actually be chair because you have the ability to identify the right talent, etc., and to coordinate the affairs of that community.
So sort of like the vice president chairing the police council. He may not necessarily be an expert on security matters.
Yeah, but that is perhaps constitutional, all right? That's constitutional. But the EMT is not something that is in the Constitution. Now, when you talk about the relationship between her and then, of course, the flag bearer, I think that having identified her as the right person for the ticket once more can tell you about the chemistry between the two of them. All right, can tell you about the relationship. I think that they've had time together. Obviously, he appointed her as the Minister of Education at the time. So it means that he had confidence in her. Then chose her as a flag bearer. So it means that he's satisfied with her performance as a minister. He's satisfied with her, competencies, and of course the relationship between the two of them, which is the chemistry between the two of them.
Right.
So I think if you cannot give her 10 over 10, I think anything between 8 and 9, I think will be a fair.
So what is your score? Professor Jampo says 8. What is your score? Give me a precise score.
I think that I will give her between 8 and 9 as well.
8 and 9. Did you say 8 and 9 or 8 over 10?
Between 8 and 9. So that you can say 8.5.
8.5. All right. Let me also welcome aboard Mustafa Gbande. He is Deputy General Secretary of the NDC. He joins the conversation as well. Mustafa, good morning. Mr. Gbande, good morning. Do we have Mustafa Gbande?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. Mustafa, thank you very much for joining the conversation.
Thank you very much for having me.
Just hold briefly. Your opposite number, Haruna Mohammed, is also on the line. Don't go anywhere. I want this to be a bit of an interesting discussion on this, but just hold for me. Dr. Kwapong, so quickly on those 2 points as well. I want to clear that hurdle before we move forward. Dr. Kwapong, those two questions. Does she have the same burden as a Baumia, or will she, for example, be expected to focus more on the areas where she has expertise? And then, on a scale of 1 to 10, rate the partnership. Quickly on that, if you can.
Right. So on the first question, again, 2016, for a long time, nobody even heard of the EMT, and it wasn't really a central part of our conversations in election years. Then 2016 changed that dynamic. Subsequent to 2016, now there's also, quote unquote, sort of a new emerging narrative that their role is more advisory. They don't have decision-making power, etc., etc. When all is said and done, I don't believe she carries the same burden. The president, should the NDC win, President John Mahama may decide that she continues to play a role on the EMT or not. But either way, she would get to define the kind of vice president that she wants to be if they win. The president would deploy her based on, her strengths. And I don't think she carries the same burden as Dr. Baumia carried, or at least the way it has been framed would not become a legacy burden that she would have to carry.
How strong is the attack team?
Please say that again.
How strong is the attack team?
On a scale of 1 to 10, I'll give them a 9 out of 10, only because perfection doesn't keep people humble. Otherwise, I would have scored them a 10.
All right. So the partnership of Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman and John Dramani Mahama. Professor Jampo says 8 over 10. Kobe Mensah says 8.5 over 10. Dr. Kwapon says he would have given a 10, but perfection only makes people complacent. So 9 over 10. If you strike the average, you would be looking at very high marks. Let me now bring in Haruna Mohammed, and only because Haruna joined the conversation first before Mustafa Gbande, so I have to be fair. Haruna Mohammed, Deputy General Secretary of the MPP. From where you sit, the running mate saga, we'll get into the MPP, but the NDC has made a statement. They are retaining Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman. And you hear the political marketers, the political scientists, the CDD fellows giving them such high scores. What is your reaction when you look at Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman?
Thank you very much. I don't know the parameters that they are using to score Professor Nana.
But did you listen to them when they were making their points? Because they laid out their parameters.
Definitely the scores were, the parameters were not spelled out, which cannot even stand the test of time. Professor Jampo knows that if you are going to score somebody, you must score the person based on a skill, and the parameters must be known and can be tested. However, they may go ahead to score her based on their knowledge of the person, but they have not had the opportunity to test those variables that would have been something that everybody can see or can also test it, also verify those judgments. But be as it may, they have the democratic right to be able to assess the person. But for us in the MPP, I would like to tell you that it is the same old wine in an old bottle, not even a new bottle. This is the same pair that we did in the 2020 election. And I can tell you, she was contesting for presidential elections. Nana Danko Akufo-Addo had 19 constituencies in her own region, except that we had 10 constituencies in her own region. So she should have brought something on board on the ND. And it's on record. The professors will tell you, it's on record. No candidate has ever won a second term by over 500,000 votes in this country, except Gerald's time. So it is on record that the NPP doesn't share this pair at all. Remember, this is a pair that has never seen any publicity in terms of the presidential contest. President Mohammed's wife was more publicized than the running mate of the NDC. And for us, something that we have beaten before, it is something that we are very confident that this is not a match at all. It is not a match to the NPP.
If you had to, looking at the high scores that have been given here, if you had to give a score of their partnership, and of course you have to make these assessments from your side to see how strong your opponents are, especially as you don't have a running mate yet. How would you score them? 8.5, 8, 9. What would your score be?
You will get 44.4%.
So basically, no, I'm talking of on a scale of 1 to 10.
So if you also integrate it,
4.4
out of 100. So you'll be able to assess the person. So
4.4 out of 10.
100, you get 4.4.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. Let me bring in Mustafa Gbande, Deputy General Secretary of the NDC. What does it mean? Because I hear some people in the Ashanti region, some members of your party are dissatisfied with the choice of Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman. What is your reaction to that? Do you think she's the best candidate? And what would be your score? Hello, Mustafa.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Yeah, thank you very much, and a good morning to my colleagues on the other side.
Mustafa, please speak up a little for me. Speak up just a little.
Can you hear me?
Better now.
Yes, so thank you, and good morning to my colleagues on the other side.
Right.
So my first reaction would be that for us in the NDC, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, a woman of substance, we all know her, we know her pedigree. She's a teacher, a lecturer, and a professor. That in itself brings to bear her expertise and gravitas when it comes to understanding our social needs and social problems. The real economy is when the ordinary Ghanaian can go to bed and confidently say that he has a president or he has a vice president who is taking or looking out for their interests. Currently, as we stand, it's on record that we have a vice president who have brought nothing but a reproach of a record that is shameful, that for the first time in the history of our country, when a vice president speaks and you go to do a research on it, you found out that it is a lie. Majority of the things the vice president puts out are not true, they are lies, and that is what the Ghanaian people are worried about. So we filled in a candidate who, when she says that I will keep the public purse, you and I, as voters, as taxpayers, will not go looking for the police to go and collect the public purse. Because as we speak today, His Excellency President Akufo-Addo and his Vice President have stolen the public purse away. Ghanaians are more worried about that than the issue of, certificates. The MPP sold to Ghanaians titles, slogans, and certificates. You remember how they touted Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia? It ended up to all be a lie. It was a sham. It was a bad goose sold to the people of Ghana. So we try to pin in somebody who Ghanaians can trust. At the end of the day, the person is honest enough to tell Ghanaians where the situation is. This current regime is not even ready to be honest about the circumstances we find ourselves as a country. That is a real economic issue. When everything that affects yourself, everything that affects our children, everything that affects our country is being turned outside down into concocted lies and untruth, then the Ghanaians is worried. So for us in the NDC, we look out for somebody with credibility, somebody with integrity, somebody with outstanding educational record that understands the problem of the ordinary person, the elite, and the high class. And that is what Professor Jimana Opoku-Agyeman comes on board with. Now, for those in Ashanti region who you say that are not satisfied, I believe that they are party members. They must not all be satisfied with the choice of the president, because where His Excellency President Mahama sees, not all of us can see. It is our duty as a party to reach out to our grassroots folks and speak to them, which we will be doing. Don't also forget that we had Dr. Kobredufo, who also wanted to be a running mate, and he's from Ashanti region. So ordinarily, they would have wished that their father, their brother, had emerged as running mate. Of course, Dr. Kobredufo is an outstanding gentleman, experienced, and we all know him, we know his record. But for President Akufo-Addo and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, he ran one of the solid banks in this country. They collapsed the bank with Ken Ofori-Atta only to preserve the year. And so beyond that, I think that Professor Naje's candidature brings a big relief to the people of Ghana.
Okay, so give us your score. I think we've got the thrust.
Candidate that brings trust, that brings honesty. Currently, as we speak, I'm wondering what Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia will be saying that Ghanaians will believe him.
Right.
And it is not supposed to be so. It's customary of our country where a vice president speaks and you are worried as to whether it is true or it is not true. For me, it's brought deficiency of integrity to the chief of vice president, and that is what we should be looking at.
I think we've got the thrust of your message. On a scale of 1 to 10, it may be biased because that's where you're coming from, but on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this partnership? Mahama, Jane.
I'll give a 10 over 10 because for me, what I'm looking at is that it brings trust to the table of governance. It brings credibility to the table of governance. If you are lying about your economy, it kills you than anything else. Businesses will collapse.
All right.
People will die.
All right. Okay.
We will lose life because the vice president and the president is not honest. It's dangerous than any other thing.
Okay.
I'll give a 10 over 10.
All right, 10 over 10. Haruna, let me come back to you. You see, one of the popular catchphrases of the MPP, especially at the start from 2016 into 2017 and everything, we have the men, and by extension, the women. Have you run out of the men and women now on the back of what we've seen and some people being ministers, for example, staying ad nauseum and while there were lots of calls? And now it appears you can't even get a running mate. What's the situation there?
That is not true. If you reverse your mind back, John Mahama was elected somewhere in May 2023. He just did his running mate election.
I don't think we need to. I don't think we need to go there because your constitution says something, and there had to be an extension for Dr. Bawumia to do this.
Yes, and that extension still is far better than what John Mahama has just done. I am telling you that John Mahama was elected in May 2023, and then he is doing his selection of the running mate now. Look at His Excellency the Vice President.
But they stuck within the parameters of their constitution. They stuck within the parameters. Your constitution says something.
The parameters of the constitution. You also look at the selection period within John Mahama did his own. And the constitution of our party was exercised at National Council to give extension of time for Dr. Bawumia to do so. So if you want to pair the two heads together, look at the time period that they have used to execute and show their vision to the people of Ghana. So definitely this is not going to be a win or lose against Dr. Bawumia. It is rather going to strengthen the decision-making strength of His Excellency the Vice President. Upon being elected, he has been able to come to tell the people of Ghana his vision. He has not told the people of Ghana that he wants a honeymoon to go and sleep. He has come out to set up his manifesto team. He has also come out to set up his campaign team. It tells you that he's very ready. In a very not near future now, we will be outdooring the running mate of our party. And it's going to be very, very smooth for all of us. This is a candidate that has said that he's going to be a man of his own. And he's going to do so not through any white men who will be advising him. And I also want to correct one impression. When the professors were talking about the economic management team, Remember, John Mahama has never been even a member of the economic management team under Professor Mills.
What do you mean? Because we've seen, for example, that document where when he became vice president, he stated categorically that he was a member.
Dr. Gobin Nankani was the chairman of the economic advisory committee.
Are you saying John Mahama was not a member of the team?
He was not a member of the economic management team. There was no economic management team under Professor Mills. There was economic advisory committee under Professor Mills. And John Mahama
wait, hold for me. Is it in the nomenclature? Is it the name? Because whether you call it what you are calling it or you call it the economic management team, the value is the same.
Even if it is in any nomenclature, I am telling you that John Mahama was not a member. Dr. Gordon Nankani was the chairman of the Economic Advisory Committee under Professor Mills. Then we had Tobe Afede, Mr. Emmanuel Ablo, Mr. K.Y. Amwa, Dr. Kadman Atamils, Professor K.N. Afo, Mr. Fred Ohini-Kena, Mr. Pa Kwesi Emita Ata, Mr. Ismail Jensen, Mr. Joe Hyde. These were members of the Economic Advisory Committee.
One quick question. Clarify this for me.
If we are doing an analysis to show how a vice president could contribute, I am just showing that the vice president doesn't necessarily have to be in the economic management team. Or if his competence cannot exercise over an economic management exercise, the president has the right to appoint other people who have the competence to be able to handle that. So it is very clear that John Mahama was not a member of the economic.
Just clarify this for me. I like your positioning because this whole bit about an axe hanging over your head. Not everybody is an economist, and not everybody. People come with different shades. But the point,
even when you are put in a position, you have technocrats that are going to exercise or help you in the implementation of this particular.
I get that.
But I just wanted to correct the impression that John Mahama has never been a member of the economic management and non-existent economic management team under Professor Mills.
Let me just clarify this.
Economic Advisory Committee.
Haruna, because of time, let's do this. I mean, when I have let's do this so that we can all flow. The role those people played versus the role of a so-called economic management team, were they similar? Were they the same?
Yeah, once it is about economy, you know, the essence of it is that it is not a constitutional body. Whether it is Economic Advisory Committee, whether it is Economic Management Team, it is not a constitutional body. It is an advisory body to the president. And that is why the president chooses who goes into that. And you see, this particular team has a very big role of advice in terms of how the economy goes. So it has impact. It has impact on the implementation of economic policies within the governance system.
Now, in terms of the NPP, when can we expect a running mate? May? And even if it's April, is that not going to be too late? Because some have said already you are facing myriad problems as a party, the economy, so many things going on. And you're now going to market this other person. What's your reaction?
I want to correct this. We are not facing any problem. The MPP as a party is not facing any problem.
No, I didn't suggest you were facing. I suggested
we are facing mirage of problems.
Oh, but the economy is it not a problem?
The economy has had a turnaround. It has had a turnaround.
Oh, it has.
It's going on. Yes.
I see.
What was the inflation 1 year ago? What is the inflation now? What is the growth rate?
What is the month-on-month inflation? Do you know?
I am telling you that you yourself, you know, inflation was around 50,000%.
Do you know the month-on-month inflation?
I am saying that inflation, and you agree that inflation 1 year ago is not the same inflation this time around.
Right.
You know it.
Right.
You know it. So it is very
Haruna, do you know that month-on-month inflation is what actually determines what is happening now, not year-on-year inflation?
What is the month-on-month inflation? What is the month-on-month inflation that you are talking about? And as 1 year ago, what was the month-on-month inflation? At least let's help to get the people know that there is some level of appreciation within the running of the economy. It is not the same. There has been a change.
Okay. All right. So May, is it May that we can expect a running mate?
When the time is right, at the right time, His Excellency, the Vice President, the flag bearer of our party, and the leader will announce the running mate.
Mustafa, do you have any quick reactions on that? And then I'll take quick reactions from my other two guests, and we shall wrap the conversation. Quick reactions?
The reaction is that it's unfortunate that my brother, as a doctorate degree holder,
Mustafa, no, let's not do that.
Anyway, so let's just deal with
No. Don't refer to someone as someone who has a PhD and then try and denigrate, because then what you're saying is that the person is bereft of whatever. Don't do that, please.
No. That's not where I'm going to. No, at all. But let's leave that conversation. I think that the MPP has a typical problem. And the problem is that they lack what it takes to be transparent about situation that confronts our country. And that is a bigger problem. He is talking to a bigger audience. At the time when businesses are collapsing, at the time when Ghanaians are suffering, they say that they are performing. Well, that is for your audience to judge.
Right.
But I do know that in as much as His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, as president or as vice president, being a chairman of economic management team or not being chairman of economic management team, today, when you compare the average performance of our economy 7 years ago, and at the time His Excellency John Dramani Mahama was a vice president, the ordinary Ghanaian would tell you that it was better. So there was a team. This is a President Akufo-Addo who told Ghanaians that he had a man. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia was touted as an economic whiskey.
Okay.
He was sold to Ghanaians as an individual who can do the magic.
Right.
Today, they are running away from that same goods they have sold to us.
Okay.
And turning around to say that, okay, the reason why we have failed is that John Dramani Mahama was never a member of economic management team, but the government performed at the time. Businesses were thriving at the time.
Mustafa, I get your point.
At the time.
I get your point.
We are worse off. We are in hell as a country, and yet they don't see anything wrong with that.
Thank you, Mustafa. I just have to be fair and take parting comments, 1 minute each from Dr. Osai Kwapong and Professor Kobi Mensah. Interestingly, I listened to a member of parliament from the NDC and say that whichever person came into power would face a power crisis, energy crisis in 2025. And recently we saw that Ghana versus Ethiopia match where our lights went off at that match. They couldn't play for a while. What would be your parting comments, Professor Kobi Mensah, starting with you, 1 minute, and then Dr. Osai Kwapong, 1 minute.
Well, thank you. I think that there are rituals in every endeavor. I mean, if you look at the political system, the political parties have certain things that as political watchers or as experts in the field would expect. I mean, I was surprised to have heard Dr. Bawumia's constitution committee and campaign team without having a vice president. That is not to say that he's supposed to. But the convention is that usually you name your running mate because the running mate comes with their team and you combine the team that you have with that running mate team as well. Now, the symbolism is that there is a certain gap in terms of, that teamwork. All right, that's the symbolism. I mean, you can check, and I'm sure if you ask any political scientist, you tell you the right thing is that usually you have a running mate and their team, and so I'm surprised that up to now that hasn't come. But then you have a constitution committee set up. You have a campaign team set up. That's the kind of symbols that it sends out, or the sign that it sends out that there's a certain misnomer within the political campaign team of Dr. Bawumia. But other than that, I think, of course, he needs all the time to actually look forward.
Prof, thank you so much. Dr. Kwapong, final word in less than one, if you can do it.
Yes. The NDC has finalized its team. It's former President John Mahama and Prof. And we wait to see who Vice President Dr. Bawumia would pick. And for me, I keep looking forward to an exciting political season.
Thank you very much. Those we had joining the conversation today, we had Professor Kwame Mensah of the University of Ghana Business School. We also had Dr. John Osai-Kwapong. He's a CDD fellow. Then we had Haruna Mohammed, Deputy General Secretary of the MPP, and Mustafa Gbande, Deputy General Secretary of the NDC. Now, let's cross over and get some of the reactions in recent days from Cape Coast as far as the nomination, the selection of Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman to John Mahama. These were the reactions.
Elizabeth Mensah. Mama no alaba was so fi commander. Menyu aje papa. Maso me fi commander. Nka ye sugar fatty, commander ye sugar fatty ya. Ye mrente ma na nkatesi ma wonye adwuman ye. Nti so oba, ombra mbobwe commander sugar fatty. Na nkatesi ma na mrente ma commander sugar commander wonye adwuman ye. Nti oba gomufo ya ho hina na ombra mbobwe he ye bre 1000 ye nyu abre papa. Ye diama ba.
Well, that's it. Later on, we'll bring you some more of those reflections. But stay with us. Up next, we're talking about that dialogue under the theme, enforcing cybersecurity protocols, protecting the citizens. That conversation is coming up next with Sweetie Abochi. Do stay.
Welcome back on the show. Now let's talk cybersecurity. Joy News is collaborating with Youth Bridge Foundation to host a national dialogue on cybersecurity on the theme, enforcing cybersecurity protocols, protecting the citizens' vulnerability. And the focus would be on cybersecurity issues on educational institutions, financial sector, and others. You know that cybersecurity issues cannot be overestimated in this country. Almost on a daily basis, small businesses and individuals are being defrauded, phishing and all that. So this is a step in the right direction. Joining me in the studio to have this conversation is the Chief Information Security Officer of EcoBank, because EcoBank Ghana is sponsoring and hosting the dialogue at its head office auditorium in Accra. Good morning, Charles. Welcome on the show.
Thank you very much, sweetie.
Yeah.
It's great to be here.
Yes. So like I said, of course, we cannot overemphasize the importance of this national dialogue, which you're sponsoring, because cybersecurity is a serious issue. And regardless of that, you tell me why EcoBank came on board to sponsor the show and offer the platform for us to execute this great initiative.
Thank you very much, sweetie, for this question. EcoBank as an institution or as a bank has a firm belief that the survival of the industry in this technologically dependent era where institutions are connected with other institutions and depending on third parties to provide services to our customers. Programs that seek to promote conversations around cybersecurity require serious national attention. Right? As a financial institution, our two critical focus areas is in the health and education sectors. We do not only provide financial support as a bank. People or the citizenry think that is only financial support that we provide.
Right.
But we also engage in corporate social responsibilities in that area.
Right.
The reason being that the two areas are very critical to the development of the country. So much data is collected, transmitted, stored and processed within the whole ecosystem including the health and financial sectors. And this information will have to be protected. Data is real value. Countries that have power have access to a lot of data.
Yes.
So we believe that we need to support any engagement that seek to enforce protocols in that area.
Okay.
And that is why EcoBank is participating in this engagement or in this dialogue.
Okay. So with what you do as a bank, EcoBank, and in this digitalized environment with its associated cyber exposure to cyber threats, how safe do you feel, you and your customers? How safe do you feel to operate in this digitized environment?
If I may say, I believe our customers are very safe.
Okay.
We've rolled out a lot of digital products, and I can confirm to you that the number of transactions that we undertake or customers undertake on the digital platforms is more than what we undertake at the branch, which emphasizes the confidence that they have in our platforms.
Okay.
About 75% of all transactions happening on our digital channels as compared to maybe around 20-25 in count, per count.
20-25?
25% in count.
Right.
And as an institution, we've also implemented a number of controls to just ensure that our customers are safe. Because the point is, it is not just safeguarding your systems, but ensuring that the customers are safe. And we have a diverse customer clientele. We have the very intellectual, and we have those who have very little, let's say, education. They all form part of our clients. So we need to fashion out products and services to be able to protect all of them. And the basic services that we do is once you come onto our platforms and you want to transact with us, we call it multi-factor authentication. So it is something that you have and then something that you know, just to ensure that we push out third parties or hackers or third parties who will not have access to your systems, or who can just use, if it's one factor, they can use social engineering antics and things to get that information. And so all these are programs that, all these are tools that we've implemented to protect our environment.
Okay.
Also, our client enrollment process is very stringent, because once you come on board and we've collected all the necessary information that you need, then we enroll you, then you'll be able to transact with us. And in case, assuming you lose a password or whatever it is, somebody steals your phone and you want to register, there's some personalized information or some sensitive information that we collect about you, which, if it is not given to a third party through lots of the other means that exist, we'll be able to protect your account from it being hacked. And we are also consistently testing our systems, and we behave as hackers ourselves, right? Because we want to see where the gaps are. Yes, we want to see where the gaps are before they even come in.
Okay.
So we have a team that is consistently pen testing all our products and services to ensure that the gaps are identified early. We fix them before the third party comes into or attempts to exploit it.
Okay.
We constantly scanning our systems for vulnerabilities and updating them day in and day out. I mean, once you use systems to provide services to your customers, there will be some vulnerabilities will be identified, and then some tools will be given to you by the OEMs that you need to patch and ensure that your systems consistently remain safe. Reviews also, we continue to review our systems because we continuously update our systems. We need to conduct reviews to ensure that an update will not introduce any gap in the controls that have already been implemented. So that is something that we also do.
Yeah.
Risk assessments is something that we do also very consistently assessing the systems that we use to provide services to our customers, the products as well, and ensuring that they are safe and the controls that we have implemented are working. The third parties that we've integrated with, there are no risks that will be introduced into their networks or their systems that would affect us. So all these are things that we do as an institution.
It is safe.
Yes.
In this digitized environment, it's safe for both you and your customers to go about your business without any fear or concerns. But looking at how diverse your clientele is and already punching loopholes to ensure that you're safe, you're secure, and no hacker can penetrate your system, what will be your major concerns, or what has been your major concerns in terms of policy regulation, protocol enforcement, and adherence? Since this is a conversation that is still progressing, so what has been your major concerns?
My major concern, or our major concern, and I don't believe this is maybe Ghana alone, it's a global problem.
Okay.
Right? It's awareness.
Okay.
And that is why programs like this is very important to us. We keep on drumming awareness in the citizenry. Because the risks are there, they are real. There's no question about it. We have an industry which is out there. I believe we have some in-house that are looking for toolkits and things to exploit our customers.
Right.
And for us, we see our customers as partners. Right. So if a customer's account is exploited, it has a very big impact for us as an organization.
Yeah.
Our brand is everything. So whatever it takes to protect our customers, that is what we do. We don't just protect our systems. Yes, it's important to protect the systems, but at the end of the day, customer satisfaction is everything.
Okay.
We are rolling out a lot of products, a lot of tools. We are encouraging the customers to use those products and tools. We expect that they should use it without having a pinch in their mind that their information or their money can be taken by a third party, that they are safe.
Yeah.
Yes, that they are safe. Once you give them that conviction, it means we are winning together.
So let's talk about tomorrow then. What are some of your expectations? Obviously, you're a sponsor, so there are some things you're looking forward to, or you're looking forward to some positive change after the dialogue. What are your expectations?
My main expectation, this is going to create a lot of awareness. And this, in fact, I looked at the panel members, and these are very seasoned policy makers. You have technocrats amongst them. So this program couldn't have come at a better time.
Okay.
We need to create awareness, and what we have to do, and I believe the discussions would be geared towards that area as well, is to make sure everybody is involved in this process. The media, you have a critical role to play. The judiciary, they have a critical role. Education sector, the financial sector, the energy sector. Everybody has a crucial role to play in this digital transformation agenda if we have to succeed as a nation. Right. We know and we believe that it's technology that will move us to the next step. If we have to succeed as a nation, the policies should be in place, people should understand, and people should embrace the frameworks that are being introduced. And then our youth, if we bring them up, when we get one Mike Bezos in the system, our GDP is tripled, right? And it's an area that we have a lot of untapped resources. We have very intelligent young men and women, and we need to ensure that this is deeply rooted into their curriculum. There are countries that cybersecurity is part of their high school programs.
Yeah.
So, and these are the things that we expect.
It's only right because we live in a digitalized world now. Everything is on the internet, so of course. But there's a lot to look forward to for tomorrow's dialogue, but here's a promo on how tomorrow is going to go down. Take a look. I'm sure you saw the spoiler there. Benjamin Akakpo will be hosting. You do not want to miss that program. But joining us for continuing this conversation, we mentioned that it's Joy News in partnership with Bridge Foundation, and the Communication and International Exchange Officer, Gloria Emeka, has just joined the conversation. Gloria, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
So briefly, what are your expectations, or what was the intention for this national dialogue, for which reason you're partnering Joy News and sponsored by EcoBank?
So our major intention is that at the end of the program, we have a roadmap that would ensure that there is a cybersecurity enforcement at the hospitals especially, and then at the educational sector. So this is our major expectation at tomorrow's program.
What should attendees or viewers look forward to for tomorrow? Any spoilers, any tips you want to drop, you know, something that we should look forward to?
If you look at our panelists,
yeah,
you know, so you're having the directors, you're having the head of institutions, cybersecurity authority, we are having the EcoBank themselves, they are joining us tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then we are having Ghana enterprise agencies. So we're having the big players in the cyberspace coming to have a conversation with us tomorrow, and then we're expecting everybody. And then again, please, let's have a roadmap that would more like not compel, but ensure that there's cybersecurity, you know, at the health sector especially. So this is what we are looking at tomorrow, and then expecting everybody to be there.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Charles Eduasa, Chief Information Security Officer at EcoBank, Gloria Emeka, Communications and International Exchange Officer of the Youth Bridge Foundation, together with Joy News, bringing you that national dialogue on cybersecurity on the theme, enforcing cybersecurity protocols, protecting the citizens' vulnerability. But that's not all. Coming up next, Benjamin Akakpo, who's the host for this national dialogue, is coming up with more stories. Please stay with us.
Welcome back. From there, let's talk health, blood circulation. If your blood is not moving properly through your body, it's a problem. But have you paid attention to how important nitric oxide is in the entire mix? That's why this morning we're hosting Dr. Ruben Tete Agbo, medical consultant with Phytotech. And of course, we're going to be talking a lot about this product, Nitro MX. Well, Doc?
All right, okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Kaboom.
Yes.
I get excited when we get to talk about health. So tell us, why is blood circulation crucial for the human body?
All right, okay. So before, even in answering that, I want to talk about circulatory system or the cardiovascular system. So it's the same thing. So when you want all the organs in the body or the parts, the other parts, the different parts of the body to work very well, it means that you need nutrients, you need blood, and that you need hormones as well. And then there should be an exchange of these gaseous things and then the waste product and everything. So that is where cardiovascular system comes in. And when we talk about cardiovascular, it comprises of these organs. We need the blood, the heart itself, and then the blood vessels. So without the circulatory moving very well, or without you not having a proper circulation in your body, it means that all these parts of the body wouldn't be functioning very well. So an example is this. If you want to have a very good cognitive function, it means that you should get enough blood entering into your brain. You want your heart...
You're talking of memory.
Exactly. Exactly. The memory. If you want your other part of the body to function very well, not for you to feel easy fatigability in the... and then also having even proper erection, and then highly, you are able to have a high sexual function as well. It means that you need a proper blood circulation, and that is why blood circulation is very important for every function in the human body.
And I think by extension, that is why when someone suffers a stroke, not for everybody,
yes,
but sometimes when the blood flow is cut to certain parts of the brain, that person, that portion may die off, they may lose part of their memory.
Exactly. So that is why it is very important.
So you've brought to our attention the importance of this, but how does nitric oxide feed into this equation?
All right, okay.
Originally, they would say that, oh, nitric oxide, this and that, but how does it feed into blood circulation?
All right, okay. So with this particular blood circulation, for your blood vessels to act very well, it means that your blood vessels need to relax for blood to be able to flow very well. There's a particular molecule that does that particular work. And this molecule is what we call as the nitric oxide or the nitric oxide. So this nitric oxide is being produced in the inner lining of the blood vessel. So the innermost lining of the blood vessel is called endothelium. It is in this endothelium that we produces the nitric oxide. Now this nitric oxide now would have to send signals to the smooth blood vessels so that the blood vessels will be able to relax and the blood is able to flow very well. So without the nitric oxide coming in, it means that you will have a problem with your blood circulation as well. You have a major problem with your blood circulation, and that is why nitric oxide comes in when we want to talk about blood circulation in the human system.
I see. And with age, does anything happen to
exactly. So
nitric oxide? Do we lose a supply of it? Does it lower? What happens?
All right. Okay. So studies have shown that from age 0 to 20 years, you have high production of the nitric oxide. You have about 100% of the production of nitric oxide. Even we can see it on the screen. And then now, at age 40, you lose 50% of the production of this nitric oxide. And that is where diseases set in. Because if your blood is not able to flow very well, it means that there's buildup of pressure, probably even in your blood vessels. And that is where hypertension comes in. If your blood is not able to flow very well, you are not able to get enough blood into your brain. That is when you have a problem, even with your memory. There's easy fatigability, even your sexual function, erectile dysfunction and co, they all come in. And at the age of 60, you lose 85% of the production of this nitric oxide.
So it means you're left with only 15% that your body is producing.
Exactly. And that is where diseases set in. So people tend to have all these cardiovascular conditions that we are talking about, including erectile dysfunction, low libido, poor memory function as well, easy fatigability, and all other related blood circulatory disorders.
So tell me, how then does Nitro MX come into the picture?
All right, okay. So now Phytotech Limited, having realized that nitric oxide is very important, we decided to now do a research. You know, Phytotech Limited is a herbal pharmaceutical company. So we now have to go and then select the active ingredients that are able to help the body to produce nitric oxide. Because you're already losing it. 40%, you are 40 years and then you are losing 50% of the production of nitric oxide. You are having buildup of pressure in your blood vessels. You are having high blood pressure and then also. So we selected these 4 plant material that now when you take in, it's able to help the body to produce more of this nitric oxide. In producing it now, it signals the blood vessels to relax so that blood is able to flow very well. So that is what Nitro MS does in our body. So every day when you take just 1 capsule a day, as you are taking it, it is just helping the body, the endothelium, to produce more of this nitric oxide. Blood is able to flow very well. So we always say that Nitro MS, it improves blood circulation. And improving blood circulation, it means that your blood pressure is fine. It means that when you are doing exercises, you do not get easily tired. Your erectile dysfunction is very fine. In fact, Mr. Kako, I want to share...
Your erectile function, not dysfunction.
It's
very fine.
Exactly. I want to share this story with you. I gave this product to a doctor. A doctor actually read an article on Nitro MS, and we're claiming that it does so many things. So it was like, oh, I want to get a sample for me to use to find out whether it is really true. I do not want to mention the doctor's name or the hospital that he works with. Right. So we gave the product to him. And then in the morning when he took it, he actually worked for a very long time without not feeling tired. And then he realized that his erection in the morning was very okay. That is that is when he realized that the Nitro MS is very good. And this is a product that will not give you all the adverse effects that probably other products will give you.
So this is not some kind of aphrodisiac or anything?
No,
it is not.
No.
But it serves a certain purpose.
Exactly.
Because blood flow plays a crucial role in that.
Exactly. And it is on that basis for nitric oxide. That is how the sildenafil and co actually works.
I see. So very quickly, where can people get Nitro MX to buy from Phytotech, and on which numbers can they reach you?
All right, okay. So the first one, I want to mention the numbers that they can reach me. So the numbers are the 024-649-0116.
Please slow down a bit.
All right, okay. So 024-649-0116. 024-649-0116. And then if you are in Accra, I want to mention some of the places that you can get the product. When it comes to multimedia over here, we have Health Embassy. So you can get the product at Health Embassy. When you go to Palace, that is Dankwa Roundabout, Palace Pharmacy, you can get it over there. When you go to Top Up Pharmacy throughout the country in East Legon, Spain Test, wherever it is, you can get product over there. When you go to Dusty Pharmacy, you can get the product over there as well. When you go to Unicom,
Dusty Pharmacy in East Legon.
Yes, please. You can get the product. And then also when you go to Kumasi as well, there are places that you can get the product.
So Danny,
okay, so Danny Herbal, Freddie Mains Herbal, Smart Herbal, Saks Herbal, Costa Pharmacy, Skin Pharmacy, Alpha Dew Pharmacy, Western Pharmacy, all these outlets you can get the product over there. So if you are not so sure of where you can get the Nitro MS, make sure that you call us on 024-649-0116. Then you'll be directed accordingly.
Faboom.
All right, okay.
Thank you for joining us this
Thank
morning.
you very much.
And talking to us about Nitro MX, which improves your blood circulation. We have Dr. Ruben Tete Agbo, medical consultant with Phytotech. Let me just warn you though, there are some of you, even yesterday, someone reached me about some of those fake videos online saying they cure BP and the rest. Those ones are not from us. These ones are certified. We do them in the studio. Those ones, be careful. AI deepfake. This is not one of them. We'll be right back to conclude the AM show.
It's still Ghana man over here.
All right, so time to wrap up here. We're going, but we have to give our proverbs for here before we go. Eljoy News Desk, them no good do our channel manager will come and sack us from here.
Okay.
So I'm going to give mine first.
Yes, please, go.
I can't proverb. Obanyansa for yebunube yankana accept. You know what that means?
Obanyansa for yembunebe yankana
Yebunebe. Meaning? So the man who is wise or the child who is wise, you speak in proverbs, subtle language, rather than plain language. It also points to a certain level of appreciation of its use. Atasia. What's your proverb for us?
Proverb in Ewe. It says, "Koklo ho makpauna koklo." Repeats. Koklo ho makpauna koklo. The hen is never ashamed of its coop. It's a hen. It's a coop. No matter how the state of it, that's it. It means appreciate what you have, where you are, and know that you can only progress. Tomorrow we'll be back, and hopefully we do this earlier, so we have time to get into.
I'm going into my hen coop right now. Y'all take care.
See you tomorrow. Bye.